Hello, everybody. Welcome to Big Trouble in Little Podcast, episode 238. I am Joe Dubs.
I'm Andy.
I'm Zach.
I'm Chaz. What's up, everybody? We missed you.
Yeah,
Woo!
we've been gone a week. Life happens. We just had to delay it for a week, but we're here talking about Pale Rider. Obviously, we are streaming on Twitch, on our Big Trouble YouTube, and also Couch Entertainment's YouTube. And make sure you go to BigTroublesArchives.com. That's where we store all our episodes. I've been kind of slacking lately as far as posting on there, so I got to update that soon. Because I've been trying to find a job as well, and I had an interview today, and I think it went well. So hopefully that goes through. But it is time to get back into the Wild Wild West. Not that dumb movie that Will Smith was in, but
Hell right with it. Is that what time it is?
Get jiggy with all shit, son.
I'm not gonna lie. Every time Cisco fucking going straight to, I was fucking
Wild West.
You know, now that I'm thinking about it, why aren't we watching that movie in this period of time?
Ask Zach. He's the curator.
It didn't meet the criteria for anything.
I mean,
one too many giant mechanical spiders.
Yeah, too many things from Final Fantasy VIII are in it.
Oh man. But Pale Rider, another Clint Eastwood movie. It's totally different than the last movie that we watched, The Good, Bad, and the Ugly, as far as like there was still comedy in this movie, but it was way different tone than anything.
You mean the last Clint Eastwood movie?
Clint Eastwood movie we watched.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I didn't really know what to expect about this because I'd never seen it before, and I never really heard that many people talk. I mean, like I've heard people talk about it, I guess, but like, oh yeah, Pale Rider was pretty good, and it felt like a little off to me. Like I don't know about you guys, but I felt like it had a little bit of like there was some attempts at humor. Sometimes I don't think landed well.
Definitely.
I don't like Hull. I don't like his character. It feels weird. Like he's obviously this simple guy, and
he's kind of a pussy.
Yeah, I mean, kind of, but it's more like it's just like, oh, this poor simple man is like trying to do all this shit, and like he's Forrest Gump or something in the West. I don't know.
Well, I guess it kind of shows like the gold rush in the West, like fucking you don't fuck around with people's claims and shit. Like I'll give them that.
You do.
The beginning of the movie was crazy too. It's just like it's just a raid happens. These fucking people run in and like shoot up your shit and break stuff and kill some girl's dog, and like they shoot a cow for no reason, and you watch the cow bleed. It was like, and he was like, she was looking at the camera.
I think every film that we've seen so far, like something tragic fucking happens early in the beginning of the movie.
It's a Western.
I mean, that's Westerns, but specifically this one, I feel like they really set the tone early on the whole, yep, we're just killing animals. Like, it wasn't just they didn't have a point. They definitely had a point. I mean, they're killing off livestock.
There's a big point. Sorry to interrupt, but I'm going to say some disparaging things about this movie later. But the way it starts is actually very, very well done because... Mm-hmm. You're supposed to start with, it's like a James Bond movie. You got to start with action. Now the audience is on board. Oh man, something's going to happen. Mm-hmm. There's a bunch of exciting stuff happening. Also, it sets up that you hate the bad guys. That's really important too.
Yeah,
It's,
they killed a
they
dog.
shot whatever. They fucked with some minors and they did some mean stuff. Whatever. They shot a dog. I was like, fuck these motherfuckers. I hope Clint Eastwood comes here and shoots all of them in the dick. I'm angry now. So, you get angry
I hope he
at
shoots
the
them with
bad guy.
God's
So
bullets.
the opening scene of this movie is actually very well put together. The only thing it doesn't do is set up the protagonist, which they do well enough later when he's with the axe handles and stuff. But as far as the opening to an action or a Western movie goes, it's hard to do a lot better than that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're right.
I almost put it in the Facebook Messenger. I'm like 1 out of 10 in this movie. They killed a dog. That's it. I'm done.
You just don't want to watch it anymore. Yeah.
You can't pet the dog. You have to bury it.
Yeah. Sorry. That's.
I do like the fake.
John Wick intensifies it.
I like the taxidermy dog, like the edit.
When she picks it up, I was like, oh man, that looks terrible.
Yeah, it was very clear.
Yeah, this movie, it had ups and downs for me. I love the shots, by the way. Something about movies in the 80s, I don't know what it is, but it just looks so nice. I don't know why.
80s movies, especially what I would say 80s popular pop culture, pop release movies, whatever you want to classify that as, mainstream, they all have like a very specific kind of look, cinematography kind of going.
I wouldn't say pop. I always think it's like an appealing flatness or something. I don't know. I lack the proper vocabulary I need to talk about.
I did
exactly
too.
what I'm trying to say, but it's like movies like this, and I think about I had it. It's gone. My brain is empty suddenly. But there's a lot of movies like this, and First Blood, and a few others that have like a flat
Predator too.
Predator kind of too. It's like it seems like there's a narrower color range in each shot, and I don't know if it's always like necessarily on purpose or anything. I think it has something to do with the film stock, but it does. Like each decade has like a real distinct look to it, and for me, the 80s always had like a flat kind of more muted look to it, but
somewhat,
it works so well for stuff like Die Hard or First Blood or something like that, or Pale Rider for that matter. It works great for Pale Rider.
I feel like
they're like in the mountains and there's like pine trees and stone and wood buildings everywhere. It's perfect for that.
Action and horror movies, I think, really benefit from that look.
Yeah.
I was gonna say on the flip side of that too, there's also the 80s movies will also look like really saturated or kind of like grainy too, and I kind of like that too. You know what I'm saying? Like how some of the horror movies, like Chaz was talking about there, and specifically they do that a lot.
Yeah, the whole like story between the marshal and the preacher felt like I think we needed more story to that. Even though they were just like, I know this man. I know that's like the kind of the cliche, like I've seen this man around before. We crossed paths and stuff, but
it felt like a video game plot.
It kind of did.
Yeah, it did feel a little Red Deadish.
It made me think. You know how I always complain, like, oh god damn it, they could have cut 15 minutes of this movie. Man, I feel like this movie could have used 15 or 20 more minutes because
we need a 15-minute flashback to like.
I don't know if it needed.
He used to be in his gang,
minutes.
and they like shot a preacher, and he's like looking at the preacher's like collar, and he's like, "I'm going to leave this life for good, and I'm going to try to do something." I don't know, something.
I think like we're going to probably talk about these negatives later, but I don't know if it needs more time. I think they just needed to repurpose the time. It's like there's 15 minutes that could have been focused on more of the story. Because they're going to dive enough into it. Give us a little bit more of a reason why they have some type of hate. Unless they're going down that apparently someone, I guess, heard us or it would just worked out that way. Obviously, it did just work out that way that we would be talking about how on the last episode, the person's actually not real and they're some type of supernatural being or something. And then the preacher, this actually kind of sets up like, is he actually an angel? Maybe he is a gunslinging angel. I was watching this and I was like, are you fucking kidding me? I was also sick when I watched this, by the way. I don't know if I ever mentioned that in the chat, but I caught whatever little 24, 48-hour GI virus was going around. So I was nauseous and shitting my brains out intermittently while it took 3 hours to watch this movie, which was fun. I mean, again, I still got to, like, I wasn't interrupted per se. I got to watch it and take it in, but yeah, watching it, I was a little delirious, and I was like, maybe he is an angel.
Until he went to the bank and he had his gun in his fucking deposit.
And I was like, oh, he's a goddamn devil.
I will say, even though I know during that time stuff like that was happening, but like the whole 15-year-old or 14-year-old like falling in love with Clint Eastwood, even like Clint Eastwood was like, nah, like I can't do this. This is weird. But like,
yeah, that's a weird thing that happens in the movie because she's like all over him, and he's like, well, this is immoral or something. I'm a preacher, I guess, and you're too young. And then the wife is coming on to him, and like everyone is like, oh, this guy's the best guy ever. I mean, I wish he'd fuck me. He's the best. Like even all the other minors and stuff like love.
I think one of those dudes around the campfire wanted to fuck him too. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, right. Everyone just and he's a likable guy, and he motivates them, and he saves the girl, and he saves the day. So I get it, but the writing is just real weird. That scene with the wife is so weird. It's so weird to me. It seems so out of nowhere. They don't really set it up, and there's no payoff to it. It's just like, man, he's so hot. Every woman in this movie wants him so bad. Like, what is this?
I got a question. Like when he talks to the wife later on, when he's saying his goodbyes and shit before the big battle, did they fuck? Because they do like an edit, like she closes the door and she stays in that room.
He tells her to close the door.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of implied. That's what's so weird about it too. Because I agree, it is kind of out of nowhere. I don't think it is far too subtle to say that they're getting looks. And then when the 15-year-old is like, I asked for a prayer and you showed up. So yeah, you can have me. And he's like, nope, you're a kid. And she's like, it's because you want to fuck my mom. I know what it is. Like she immediately jumps to that. And then he like doesn't like really have an expression because he's Clint Eastwood.
Mm-hmm.
That's just his expressionless face. He kind of takes it and is like, maybe I do, maybe I don't. That type of thing.
Make my day.
Turns out he did want to fuck her. We didn't realize it.
I had to check my browser because I watched this on the computer just to make sure I was not on Pornhub watching Dick Rider or something. I like the whole mother and daughter thing was like weird for me. I was like, again, I know because they like bring it up a million times. Like, Mama told me she got married when she was 15 and had love.
Yeah, that was weird too. Why did they bring that up more than once?
Yeah,
I don't know, because back then that's people got married that early, but like,
yeah,
I could tell you why all this stuff happened. Written, produced, directed by Clint Eastwood.
Oh yeah.
I figured that at the beginning of the movie that he wrote it, but IMDb doesn't credit him as a writer. That was confusing me. It did
also
wrote it, right?
I've also seen him credited as writer on Wikipedia, like the screenwriter. Maybe not the script, right? You know how sometimes they split that screenplay.
That makes me wonder / worry. What happened is these two guys, Dennis Shryak and Michael Butler, wrote the movie, and then they were shooting it. And Clint Eastwood, by this point, was a big movie star. If he didn't like make the changes himself during shooting, they're like, okay, everyone's gonna love me. I'm the best, and it's gonna be this
because I just am.
Everyone, it's awesome.
I'm the best,
I just got mad too. Like again, I know it's the times, and I get it. Women were just shuffled around and be like, "I'm gonna be your wife now," and all that stuff. But I hated like they made a whole like, I guess I'm gonna go marry Hull now since you're not gonna fucking take me. Like he was like the second option, like the second string option. Well, he's a nice man, I guess.
I mean, they didn't show it, but in the extended director's cut, he's in the corner beating off while preachers sex with the wife. He's like, man, I just want to. She promised me I own this. You go to Sacramento, it shows this certificate. She's supposed to have sex with me. Like
Sacramento ain't worth moose piss.
This feels like a common theme through the movie too. I feel like he really wanted to try to stay true to like the realism of what happened in that time period. The problem is, and maybe even like watching this the year it came out or something, it doesn't hit quite differently. But the times are changing. This movie, in terms of some of the concepts, does not age well. Even if it is just historically accurate, it still just feels
80s.
weird. Yeah, it just feels weird.
Yeah.
This movie doesn't age well for several reasons, I think.
Yeah.
That's
I agree.
what you're saying is the most important one, I think. But there's lots of like other stuff in it that I can't stand how like Paw Patrol sounding the storyline with Jaws is, where it's like, oh, he's a big mean guy, and then as the movie goes on, it's like, oh, but he's got a heart of gold, even though he's a big scary guy.
Yeah.
So
oh yeah. He is awful.
Like he helps him at the end. Like, why?
Yeah, he's like, no, but I help because I'm a businessman. Yeah, he's definitely. I call him Mayor McCheese because that's just funnier to me. But his actual name is Mayor Humdinger. If anyone is listening and knows of the ilk of the Paw Patrol, if you don't, it's okay. It's one of those rites of passage.
I'm just calling
yes,
it
I agree.
simplistic.
No, it is. I'm bad, but I'm not really that bad. I just was a little annoyed, but I'm actually good. Yeah,
it's like the way Marvel writes their villains now in comic books.
Oh yeah. Well, again, and I think the problem is that sometimes someone comes off that to me that feels like the thing of someone's writing something and they're like, oh look, I made this person layered and complex because they're not just simply a bad person. They have this. No, that's still like, fifth grade English style writing. Like there's no complexity to that.
No, that's
complexity would have been that you gave them a reason or dilemma, but then you made them go across the line to then justify their means and make them bad.
This movie
that would have been more complex.
And drips. I'm in the 9th grade, and I think I'm going to have a creative writing career.
Yeah,
everything about it. All the characters are like really, really one dimensional. There's not like the marshal comes to town and he's just evil, pure evil, and even like Chris Penn's character, Nice Guy Eddie from Reservoir Dogs, he's like, there's a moment where it's like, oh, this character might have some death. Oh, never mind, he's a rapist. Like, it's just, what the fuck? Like, we couldn't have one moment of like, oh, maybe this guy's like actually like kind of genuine or something. No, he's also just evil. Like every character is like either a paragon of goodness or a rapist murderer.
We've been too used to. We've been spoiled by the previous 3 movies that we watched.
Right. Yeah.
I thought the same thing. I was like, "Oh, is he kind of like, gonna like hit on this girl, and they're gonna kind of get together? They're in the same age range. That's more acceptable." And then it was like, "Nope, it's rape." And I know the answer to this too. It's because it's the 80s.
Yes, but I wanted to wrap up. I got a package here. I got a whole ninth grade creative writing package. But also, there's like a few moments in this movie which, admittingly, are cool as hell. But I feel like they're what motivated everything around him. Like, there's that moment where he's saved Hull, and they're coming back into town, and the girl's reading the passage from Revelations and death on a pale horse, and I saw him.
Became a pale rider.
Whatever, and like she's reading that as he comes into the shot, like stuff like that. Man, that's cool as shit. But man, it's so hacky and like
it's very edgy. Sasuke is my
exactly. It's very Vegeta Sephiroth. It's very just like what the fuck? Come on, man. The other one that stood out to me is when he leaves and he goes to the bank deposit box and he like poignantly takes off his preacher's collar and takes his gun belt out and then drops the collar in, and that's supposed to symbolize it's business time. He's no longer a man of God. Now he's a man of the grave.
So what you're saying is Clint Eastwood didn't go through a midlife crisis. He went through his teenage emo phase.
I think so. Like, this whole thing feels like a high schooler who was very, like, admittedly, a talented high schooler wrote this. Like, there's just all those moments, and the characters have no depth. And it's an interesting enough story. I like this movie. I'll probably watch it again someday. Turned out I owned it. Did not know I owned this movie. I was trying to find it streamable. Couldn't find it anywhere. It's like, maybe I own it. I owned it.
Yeah. So I did want to roll back on something. I mentioned this in the chat, but for those that do listen, I actually referenced this movie and realized I'm a dumbass, and I still have yet to figure out the movie that I'd watched. But I'd said something about this movie having a great score. I had this movie, the name confused, and thought I'd watch this. Yeah, I've never watched this movie. I don't know what the other Western was now, and it's really killing me because I'd love to know because
I think it's High Plains Drifter has a very similar plot. There's like a town, and a bunch of gangsters come out of the hills because I think the sheriff just died or the marshal left town or something.
Mm-hmm.
And a bunch of bad guys come out of the hills, and they're like running the town, like they're just being assholes. And then Clint Eastwood comes into town, and he's like trying to get them. It's also like a vague one protagonist ripoff of Seven Samurai. It's like they've got a problem with bad guys, and Clint Eastwood comes to the town and fixes all their problems. Except in that movie, Clint Eastwood is like a huge asshole for the whole first act, so it's kind of like more interesting because at first he just seems like he's just trying to get laid and get fed, and then toward the end of the movie, it turns out he knew what he was doing.
He had a heart of gold. Yeah. Oh. Well, it's not so much the plot or anything in the movie. I thought it was more just the title that seemed familiar that I confused it with. So that's the thing is seeing this movie, I was like, I had nothing to relate it to. So then I realized that. But Zach had made a point, and I think it's important too. We have been spoiled by watching. I mean, arguably, most people on a given day are going to say Once Upon a Time in the West or The Good, the Bad, the Ugly are either or are the best Western ever made. It's on the table.
The two of those, Searchers and Unforgiven, that's the conversation.
Yes. So Searchers is in there too, absolutely. So that's the thing was we watched those, and then we went to this, and I think the other problem too, and this is actually why I liked Once Upon a Time in the West so much. You get all these little subtle things, but there's payoff at the end. I don't feel like there was enough satisfying payoff for any of the threads they have at the end, and the movie just wraps up like a wet fart.
Yeah, even when like Hull takes his buffalo rifle and like shoots the guy who like has the law decree or whatever, and I'm just like, oh, so you did like a cowardly thing and shot a man in the back. Cool. Like
it's just one of those things like. When watching it, I'm thinking, okay, maybe there's more to this. I'll give it benefit of the doubt. Let's keep watching. Trust the process. We'll get there. Because otherwise, it does feel like a ninth grader wrote it. And then at the end, it just wraps up the way it does. So then it doesn't have any other depth to it or satisfaction in that way. It just has that very superficial satisfaction of, oh, we beat the bad guys. It's over. I'm moving on now. And that was it. And it did feel like, okay, well... They weren't bothered to do it, and then like it's like Clint Eastwood was mad, and he was sitting there, and his kid's like, "Will you play with me?" And he's like, "I don't have time. I have other stuff to do. No, I just want to play." And he's like, "You fucking write this, and then we'll play." And then his kid wrote it for him, and there we go.
I think it would have been funny if, like, when Megan's like running or chasing after him after he leaves, after he kills all the baddies. And like she screams into the mountains like an avalanche happened and kills fucking Clint Eastwood. Because I'm like, stop fucking screaming in the mountains.
Speaking of screaming into the mountains, you know the weird scene where like her mom goes in there and it's implied that they had an encounter. What was that before? Where it's like he was cleaning his gun or some bullshit, and then you just hear like, Preacher! You just hear somebody screaming "Preacher" in the hills.
I think that was the Marshal, just doing like psychology warfare, pretty much.
Psychological warfare.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
It was again. I think you guys are right. Ninth grader wrote that. It's like, what if like he was like in the background going "Preacher"? Everything was 80s about this.
Yeah, well, it goes back to the whole thing with the scene where she's reading the passage from the Bible, and he shows up, and he comes on a pale horse, and all he has is death. That's superficial too, because as cool as it is, there's no payoff or complexity to that, because everything that happened in relation to like the hardships they went through. It wouldn't have even mattered if he showed up. Actually, more people would have died. So instead of him being any resemblance to death, it's the opposite. They didn't do any tie-in where like there was some big sacrifice because he showed up. Like the story played out the way it did, but in all honesty, they had every intention of running those people off, so they would have probably had a far worse consequence without him showing up. So to me, that was kind of confusing. It's like you're giving a weird message.
That's the thing, is you're expecting good screenwriting and you're expecting a deeper metaphor. No, it's just because he's a preacher, therefore a Bible, and his horse is literally pale, and it's a cool passage. That's it. That's as deep as that goes.
It really is. I'll give him this though. That was a beautiful horse.
It was a cool horse.
It was a pretty horse. It's a pretty pony.
I didn't like the shootouts at the end. I thought it was too like stupid.
They were trying to be more realistic because he's like surprising them instead of heroing them.
He
I wondered something.
He was like Batman became a fucking gunfighter.
That's
He was
right.
like hiding and shit.
No, I know exactly what this was, and I had to look it up to make sure. Yeah, this was definitely Clint Eastwood watched First Blood and was like, "Oh, I want to do some of that shit, but Western style," because he does like the random guerrilla shit where he's hiding, but in like a random little
Making
spooky
Clint
little
Eastwood
town
like it's
put
fucking
together.
Vince McMahon watching a movie, but like, pal, I'm gonna do this in storyline, pal. You're probably right. He probably did. He probably watched fucking Sylvester Stallone and stuff. And it's like, I'm gonna do that. But I think what I could say is the shots were good. Yeah, they had the 80s moments of like the Four Horsemen stuff, the Pale Rider. It would have been funny if he had like an electric guitar on his back or something after he came with the Pale Rider.
The Bon Jovi. He's just on a motorcycle. He's on a steel horse.
Horse I ride. Exactly right.
I wanted.
Separate things. Just want to point out, this is dad goals for those who are out there. This is a personal win for me. Anytime someone brings up the word or says anything about a cowboy, my daughter proceeds to say the phrase "on a steel horse I ride." I feel like that's a win for me. Yeah, she's learning the right way.
She's gonna go places, I think.
Yeah, she is. I mean, hopefully not prison, but I don't know. If she did the right thing and it just wasn't her fault, we'll see how that goes. Yeah. Anyway.
He was talking about how you owned somebody one time or something. I don't know.
Oh, yeah, that was pretend. I owned that baby, but that was pretend.
But being a cowboy, that's for real.
That's being a cowboy.
Haven't you ever heard, Chaz? You're not supposed to let your children grow up to be cowboys.
No.
For her, that's a little bit more complicated.
Yeah, and I did just to move along on the story. The marshal, I didn't feel like any threat at all.
I didn't know who he might as well have been a goddamn robot. They might have had IG-88 come to town. It wouldn't have mattered.
I'm
the marshal. I got a bunch of guys with me, and we all got guns. That's it.
The IGA that poor prospector who was just drunk and he was celebrating. He's like, I got this. He's got like this giant hunk of fucking gold. Then he's like, fuck you, man. And then he just shot the fuck out of him. I'm like, why did they do that? Like, goddamn.
They did more They did more showing than telling, as far as storytelling. Because like the killing of the dog. Now we know that claim is fucking baddies and stuff. And then, like, when we get introduced to Marshall and his fucking henchmen and shit, by the way, stupid fucking guy. When you have a big claim of a fucking big ass gold, stop strutting it around. Like, look what I got. Look at it.
I was thinking that too.
That guy, listen, they're all simple. That was the whole point. They're just simple miners trying to make it rich. The moment that Spider, again, his name is Spider, by the way. Yeah. The moment that he held that giant chunk up, I was like, he's gonna fucking die. Like, you don't get that type of gold in this situation and just come out okay. So it was a little predictable.
He might as well hump the fucking gold thing while he's like, fuck you, and like did that, because that's how I felt like when he was mocking the and they're all just standing there. I'm like, that guy's gonna fucking die a bad death right now.
This is the Mel Brooks version, maybe.
It made me think. You remember that video of the guy that's like walking, and there's a guy on the roof who goes, "Hey, what? Fuck you! What's your name?" He asks me, "I don't care. Fuck you!"
That's pretty much what that scene was.
And then he got fucking killed for it. Jesus Christ, they lit his ass up
in front of his kids.
Yeah, they got abruptly violent there. There was also a weird thing in this movie they did multiple times. The whole headshot thing.
Yeah,
everyone got shot right there.
They explicitly showed it.
Times,
yeah, it's a very 80s thing.
And they didn't die immediately either.
Yeah. It's weird.
Well, they did give him a chance. Like, they were shooting at his feet, like dance and all that stuff. Like the first, like if that would have happened, I'm like, all right, guys, I'm out. But he kept on like standing there and dancing.
He was drunk.
Yeah,
off his ass.
And then he got shot in the leg, and then eventually got shot in the head. And then the son's like, my daddy, what'd you do? My dad. then
he drank like some kind of goddamn bathtub moonshine from the fucking 1870s. So he was fucked up pretty good.
yeah. Like again with the comedy, like when Hull, it's like, look what I got. It's like a nugget, and then like when Spider got it's like a whole fucking rock of gold. It's like that's comedy in a sense, and what do you call it? Again with the Jaws saying like, yeah, it's very one dimensional. Like when he gets hit with the fucking sledgehammer on his nuts and stuff. Like, I guess that's the respect that he gave. Like, I don't want my nuts to be fucking squashed again by Clint Eastwood, so I'm gonna be his friend. And the whole thing,
that's how you make friends. If you punch somebody in the nuts.
That's just simple. I mean, to call back to another Western that we watched. They effed up Mongo with the fucking delivery package. They're like, Mongo's sad. They tie him up. They become friends with Mongo. It's like they have an understanding after he's been bested. He's just simple.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and the whole like rape scene with Megan, like they do this weird thing, like he's kind of respectable, like ma'am, like he's talking to his mother and Megan, like how you doing, and then he's like doing this whole I'm gonna show you the claim and stuff. This is where we do the sludge and all that stuff, and this is all the mechanic stuff, and then he's like, bam, here,
this is where you're gonna get done.
Yeah, you're getting raped right here, and I'm like, God damn it, what the fuck is going? Like, I know that happened back then, but.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like they outright actually got to rape her or anything. I mean, God, that sounds like horrible in context, but really, they're like, I mean, it was prevented. What I didn't like about that scene is that Jaws was going to stop it. So they showed the scene where they could have had that. Like, that conflict would have been a good thing to let him stop it first, or they, like, prevent him from doing it. But right as he's doing that, and they show that he's about to, then Clint Eastwood shows up anyway. And it's like, oh, well, that was kind of a bummer. Like you gave a little like spoiler or preview of him showing some good, but then you didn't give him a chance to do it. Like he was going to intervene. He would have stopped those guys.
That's what I wanted too. Like I kind of wanted him to do it and that to cause something else. But instead we get Clint Eastwood just being cool and stopping it and not really advancing anything.
Yeah, he could have still been cool. Actually, you could have had the other guy. You could have had Jaws like fend them off, and then the other guys turn on him and hold a gun to him. And he gets kind of angry, but they're going to kill him. And then that's when he shows up. And he just not only saved her from getting raped for her being stupid for going down there anyway, but then he also saves the other guy from being killed. And it's just like a payback thing of, hey, we respect each other. I don't know. It would have been more depth, but I feel like that whole thing was maybe they weren't given any more time to make with the movie or something. And Clint Eastwood's like, well, I just want to look cool here. So that's what we're going to do.
Whose movie is this, pal?
Yeah, that's how it feels in a lot of this, but
yeah. I do laugh when he's throwing the dynamite in the fucking buildings. Like, they will like fucking run and stuff.
Nobody died from dynamite. I thought that was bullshit. They should have murdered them with dynamite.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
one thing Quentin Tarantino got right.
Yeah. Why is everybody just like fucking NFL fucking quarterback legend with dynamite? Like 30, like even like whenever it was like dangerously close to blowing up, he's like, oh shit, and he throws it like perfectly where it needs to go and blow it up. Like that's far too convenient. That shit should have got messy.
Yeah.
But well.
So like when Clint Eastwood like takes Hull's horse and like hits it away and stuff. So I gotta believe that Hull walked all the way to town just to shoot that guy in the back.
He did. He even said that.
Yeah, he did. He said a long walk. Yeah. That was kind of the joke. Yeah, he was like, no, he's not going to abandon him.
Mm.
Again, it was also the whole thing of that's actually another thing that just felt like they took the piss out of it, in that Hull he shows some morals. He's still a simple guy, but he stuck his ground on certain things, but there are things that make him play out like he's been a bit of a coward for a lot of this, and that was supposed to be his big redemption. He got stranded. He walked all the way there, and at the very end, he shot the guy that may have stopped Clint Eastwood, but it felt flat. It's like you could have given him a little more. Like I don't know.
The whole like him being like, since your grandfather died, and I want to be your man and stuff, and then like when they had the fire debate, like, should we leave? They're gonna give us $1,000 and stuff, and $1,000 during that time is a lot of money.
By the way, I thought that was the best scene in the whole movie. Is when they were hanging out at the campfire talking about what they were going to do.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, actually it was a good scene because the movie is getting a little flat there. I was like, are they gonna move forward? And like around the same times when either it already happened or it was about to happen. Whenever Megan comes on to him, and it becomes weird.
Mm-hmm.
It's all shot really well. It's kind of subtle at points. I like where Hull made that whole speech about, like, you guys leave if you want, but what about your family that died here? You're just gonna leave them buried here in the ground. You're just gonna leave it. It's like, damn.
But it was still written in a way that, like, the only reason why he was saying that is because he had Preacher in his pocket. That's what he felt like, in my opinion.
I don't think he fucking thought that clearly, because after that happened, that's what everybody criticized him for.
Yeah,
because they thought the preacher was going to be here. He's like, well, I've been doing fine.
Yeah. If anything, he'd even mentioned how they had a choice at that point, and he'd already said his piece. Preacher at least had about how, okay, this is what you're going to face. It's not going to be easy.
Mm-hmm.
They'd have to make a choice. If anything, it would have been the sensible thing, and if they would have packed up and left. So it was weird because they gave him that shining moment, but then there's no follow through. That's what's so weird. People that, if they do get any depth at all, this very brief moment, but there's nothing to follow up to finish it. It feels kind of odd. I don't know.
Well,
it feels weird.
It still feels like he's sweating, in my opinion, like how it was portrayed on screen, because he's fighting with the mother of Megan, and so I forgot her name, but
Sarah.
Yeah, she's like, well, what are you gonna do? I don't know. I guess I'm gonna stay. And he's standing his ground, but I guess I'm
gonna pound rocks.
Yeah, I still feel like he's like, man, I wish I had Preacher. This would have been much easier.
I would have liked it better if he would have nutted up some more, and maybe helped him kill a couple guys or some shit. Like, if this movie was made by somebody else or whatever, it was made 10 years ago, I feel like that's what would have happened.
I thought you were gonna say, I wish you just slapped her in the face.
I wish you would have just slapped her in the face and said, bitch, leave. And then he kills everybody himself and he fucking wins.
Well, and it's weird too. There was never it would have been good to give the other guy a breaking point. Like if something else would have happened and it would have made Hull reach that point of, nah, fuck this. I'm going into town. I don't even care if I'm facing my death. He just says, oh, I guess I'll go do it. He's just there. It's weird. And also, if they were going to just stick to that, I wish they would have just been consistent. And right before he left, Clint Eastwood would have leaned down from the horse and leaned down a hole and said, have fun raising my kid, and just left. And then you find out Sarah's pregnant. It's definitely not Hull's. Yeah, that's what's going to happen. I mean, that's effectively probably what happened. There's plenty of that whole milkman daddy, And they're going to name him after the preacher, too, because he's like, that was an honest man. Sarah's like, sure, yeah. And she's like, it's that meme where the puppet's looking the other way. Like, yeah, that's what it was.
It's good you got that big gold. But I think we covered, there's not a lot of plot in this movie.
Pretty shallow.
It's very shallow. It's very to the point. But I will say, I still had somewhat of a good time watching it, even though it was disjointed a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of shit on it. I mean, to be fair, it's not a bad movie.
Mm-hmm.
It was fine. We'll get to, I guess, recommendations where we're at. It was fine, but it again, we're comparing it to the movies we just watched, and it's like, ugh. Maybe we'll feel a lot better about it. We're gonna appreciate Pale Rider when we watch Young Guns, right? Is that?
I don't know.
Maybe not.
I've watched it. My opinion, Young Guns is a nice trip.
I was gonna say the impression I have, because I don't remember anything about it at all. It's basically like I'm watching it again for the first time. Is where we criticize this movie for all the things it did wrong because of it being in the 80s. I feel like this one has all the positive things of the 80s in it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
If you know Pale Rider was 80s, wait until you fucking watch Young Guns, because it's so fucking 80s, bro. But it's in a good way, and I think it has a little more comedy than what Pale Rider is. But I'm still gonna recommend Pale Rider because it's fucking Clint Eastwood. Even if it's just like bottom of the barrel type of movies, like it's still good and still interesting to watch. But as far as like going against, Once Upon a Time in the West and The Good, Bad, and the Ugly and The Searchers, I mean, boy, that's like night and fucking day. So I still recommend. Andy, what about you?
It's same. I mean, this is the ultimate kind of. It's Sunday afternoon, and Pale Rider just came on TCM, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I criticized its writing a lot, and ultimately, like, it's not as memorable as a lot of other West. Like, I mean, until Zach changed his subtitle to his name, there, none of us even had quotes from the movie as our nonsense here on StreamYard. We always do that, but again, I watched this movie last week, and I think a lot of you did too. So I kind of forgot parts of it, but still, that's what I mean. Like, it's forgettable. But I could quote Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, or Searchers, or I could quote them right now. Anyway, so
yeah,
it's not great, but it's still a pretty good movie. It's lumped in with like High Plains Drifter and Two Mules for Sister Sarah and Outlaw Josie Wales and like all these other like very watchable Clint Eastwood westerns.
Yeah.
Right,
yeah, I guess
Zach.
I'll go next. Or go ahead, Zach. Yeah, Zach can go next. I go last.
Oh, yeah.
Cool.
I'll give it a very light recommendation. Like, I don't feel like I wasted my time watching it, but I kind of feel like when I was done, I was like, I don't know if I'll ever watch that one again. If it just so happens to come on TV or some shit, I guess, and it's like, I don't got anything to do. I was like, yeah, well, I'll sit here and watch Pale Rider. For me, there's other Westerns I'd rather go see. I mean, I watched Outlaw Josie Wales before we started this, and that was a better movie.
Yeah, it is. That's a better one.
And I was kind of thinking about watching High Plains Drifter because I was reading about this movie after I got finished watching it, because that's what I always do. And it kind of came up a lot. It was often compared to it.
They're very similar plots.
And everybody says watch that one instead.
The DVD I have of Pale Horse, it's a 2-pack, and that's the other movie in it.
Wow, that's weird.
Yeah.
But yeah, light recommendation.
All right, Chaz, you're up.
Yeah, I guess I would kind of agree with that. If you like westerns and you've already watched the who's who of Western films, I would probably recommend. Yeah, you should check this out for sure. If you're brand new to Westerns, I don't know if I would recommend it. And I'm kind of in Zach's camp. I don't know if I'll ever go back to watch this. I'm definitely not going to go out of my way to watch it again. If it's on, I'd passively absorb it again. But like, it's not a movie I feel like I would get a lot out of watching again because it is so shallow. Like, there's not much more meaning or subtle things that I'd missed out on or anything that would make more sense after. So it's just, it just exists, and it's not a bad thing. I've definitely watched far worse, but it's all right. It's just there. So.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, we kind of already told you guys, but Young Guns is up next. So,
That's right.
So
yeah, I just looked up the cast. Holy crap, that is a cast of 80s.
Emilio and the fucking
the Brat Pack brother,
Tiger Blood. What's his name again?
Charlie Sheen.
Lou Diamond Phillips.
Lou Diamond Phillips.
Yep.
Yeah.
What did you say? Tiger's
Blood. Yeah, it's Charlie Sheen.
It's when Charlie Sheen was like on the cocaine and fucking mucho alcoholo. But it's about Billy the Kid. I actually have a book on Billy the Kid. I might read that before watching Young Guns again. So just to see if there's any like inaccuracy. There's probably gonna be some inaccurate stuff.
Oh, probably.
Yeah, because of the cast, and there's a lot of humor in this one. So remember to watch Young Guns, and then come back here, and we will talk about that. But before we get into the last word, we're gonna get this ad out now.
Wrestling nerds, wrestling weebs, wrestling fans. If you're looking for a different kind of podcast, one that goes over actual big wrestling news, I mean real stories, not somebody getting divorced or baseless rumors or whatnot, and get some color, we got that. We also do reviews of wrestling from the past, but sometimes we also do wrestling from the modern day too, if it's something that interests us at the time. Other than that, I would say the main attraction is just 3 guys who have been lifelong wrestling fans doing what wrestling fans do. Cutting up, cracking jokes, and just enjoying the entertainment wrestling can provide. However that comes. If you want to catch Getting Some Color, you can catch it bi-weekly on Thursdays, 10 p.m. Eastern, usually.
Well, let me tell you something about Bill Goldberg. But yeah, we're covering Royal Rumble 94, and what's WCW that we're covering?
Clash of the Champions.
Yeah, it's a clash.
In January.
Yeah.
I don't have the exact date from me. It's just...
I just watched Royal Rumble, and I can't wait to talk about the Undertaker segments. just a quick thing, like Undertaker, like talking about rest in peace.
He's building Yokozuna's casket.
Yeah,
he's gonna put him in for their casket match at the Royal Rumble. It's like a week by week thing that they're doing.
And then they do a cut, like Yoko just being like scared, like.
That was one of my favorite parts about it. Was like, you gotta understand, Yokozuna up to this point has shown no fear or apprehension to anybody, but he is terrified of the Undertaker, and that helps us so much because you've never seen him act like that before.
So remember, this Thursday we are going to be streaming. We're going to have a big episode. We're covering one pay-per-view and one TV event from WCW, and it's going to be a big one. And we might sprinkle in, what happened at Mania, but we're not going to cover the whole thing because it's gone. Mania.
It has come to pass.
Yeah. But last word time, since that's the only game I played besides MLB, and fuck that game. It's uninstalled. I don't play that game anymore. Let's talk about Resident Evil 4 Remake.
Never heard of it.
Never heard of it.
Don't lie.
I'm gonna go into detail on the Lost Nightmares, as far as like the autosave situation thing.
Oh, spoilers for this pretty new game, by the way.
Yes. Spoiler alert. I like this game. I think I like it better than the original. Now I know a lot of people can be like, original's a little bit better. It had its charm and stuff. But I was one of the people that didn't really like Resident Evil 4 when it first came out because I was like, man, where are my zombies? I don't fucking like this parasite bullshit. And I just didn't dig the action at all. But I think it did a good thing of mixing survival horror with the action. And I think
Did it scare you? Did you get scared? Did you get spooked?
When they popped out of fucking cabinets, yeah, and like
the stove. That's the one that got me on the island.
Mm-hmm. Ooh, the fucking the oven. It came out and got you. Yeah, I almost peed myself.
That was a good one.
That was a good one because it had been a long time since I had a pop up too. I was not expecting it.
That's part of what I like about it because it's in a silent part of the game too. Like there's no other enemies for a little bit. Yeah.
Fuck those regenerators, by the way.
Oh,
that's scary. You gotta turn the lights out. Fuck that.
No, I love them. They're the best. That's one of the best parts of the game, right there.
God, fucking weird ass, fucking nightmare fuel, creepy shits. And then they make them worse. Fuck.
I got a little annoyed, but annoyed in a good way because like you get up to the 3rd regenerator, right, and you get the scope that you can see in thermal and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I got the scope and I'm like, what the fuck do I do? Because like there's a door there to like open up, but you need the key card and you need a wrench. I'm like, where the fuck do I get a wrench? So I went all the way back.
You're supposed to read.
I did the same thing. I went all the way around and it was like, wait a second. I remember what's going on here. Because I saw the lab and I was like,
pumping.
Yeah, no, I was like, I got through there and I got to the point and it said I needed the wrench. And I remember there was a lab, and I was like, what do I fucking do? I've killed everything.
I did the wrong thing, but it was the right thing by accident. I got the scope, and I didn't even look at the panel. I didn't even know I needed a wrench. I was just like, oh, scope, sweet. And I looked in the next room, and I saw them in the tubes. I said, I'm going to use this card thing, and it's going to make me fight these things. I know it. So I just started shooting at them while they were in the thing.
So anyway,
and then you shoot them once, and they come out, and then you kill that one. And then you shoot that one, and it comes out, and you kill that one. So I just like picked each of them off, and I was like, oh, they always drop gems. And I walked over, I was like, why did this motherfucker drop a wrench? Is this a joke? And then I went
So,
to
like,
the key
20
thing. I was like,
minutes.
oh, I needed wrench.
Yeah, I think Dubs and I are in the same boat. I wasted a good bit of time doubling back because I thought I missed it. And in order to get back, you have to like go back and open a section with a key card. I thought I'd missed something, so I did the same thing. Is that what you ended up doing, Dubs?
Yeah, I went back to like the first regenerator. That regenerator was like, "Hey, what's up, man? I'm back here. What are you doing?" And I'm like,
I'm the only one that did it correctly. I saw that whole thing, and like before I even finished, it was like the wrench is in one of the regenerators. I've played too many of these games. I know the weird fucking puzzle and the solution.
Well, there's like a log entry in there that's like, oh, we lost a tool because this one escaped or something.
Yeah, it gives you the clue. Like,
Yeah.
but I was just like, I just walked into that, and then like I saw what was getting ready to happen. I started reading the file. I'm like, oh, it's in one of them.
well, what's funny is like I got the scope, and I'm like, huh, this is a weird spot to put the scope in.
So,
and then I'm like, I go throughout the whole fucking area, and I'm just like, wait a second. And I go back over there, and I like look at the thermal. I'm like, you motherfucker.
I want to know. I have to know because it's important, and I'm going to judge all of you very harshly, one way or the other. What gun did you put the scope for the regenerators on?
The
Stingray.
I put it on the MP5.
What'd you put it on, Zach?
I used both. I switched between the two depending on what
Okay.
ammo I had and what I was doing.
That's why Andy and I are friends. I can no longer talk to the rest of you.
What?
No, actually, I was really frustrated, and I probably should have done it, but I was being stubborn because I was like, I put all my fucking money into this Stingray, and it like basically maxed it out. So I was like, well, I'm gonna use a Stingray, by God. The problem is if you miss them and then they start jumping around everywhere, it's kind of fucking hard.
When they drop to the ground and you're using the Stingray, I was like, fuck. And I would
Oh,
just like
yeah.
run away and wait for him to stand up because just
Yep.
fuck it.
And then whenever you get the one where, okay, well, I can kill them at least, because you can even, there's actually a trophy for it if you're able to kill multiple of them in one shot.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
I got an accident.
I did too. That's how I found out. But I've got that. But whenever they go to the next stage where they become the spiky boys, where they grow, you got to shoot them in the head.
Yeah, become a pain in the ass.
Oh yeah, that's a huge fucking. It's like makes my nuts fucking itch. I'm so fucking frustrated. The only thing I can think of that I dislike more, and I say dislike in a sense of it's great for the game. I'm glad it's in there. But the only thing I can think of more that I don't like are there's a similar enemy. It's almost a similar situation in Resident Evil 3 when you get to the hospital and you get those weird like frog mutant zombie things.
Frog Gamma Hunters.
Yeah.
Gammas.
Fuck those things from my childhood. Now I've not finished the remake, 3 remake, so I don't know if that part's even in it or not, or if you fight enemies like that. I hope not. But yeah, fuck these things. But in the same vein, I'm glad they're in there. I don't know.
Two things real quick. One, I might have assumed that regenerator just ate a wrench.
Yeah,
I wonder that, like, did someone throw the wrench at the guy? Like, what's going on here?
I think he just got hungry and ate a wrench. But two, did you say you focused all your upgrade shit on the Stingray?
Well, not all of my upgrade. I had already upgraded my setup.
Okay. I was going to say, like, what
in
the
order.
fuck?
No. Like, I got
Okay.
I'm running around with just like base weapons, and then I have like the other. No, I'd already upgraded. I'd already maxed out and upgraded the pistol, and I'd gotten the shotgun to a certain point, and I used that auto rifle a ton in the castle. Like, so yeah, I mean, I did upgrade it quite a bit. It was a priority, but like I always felt like the Magnum was a trap because the Magnum is really strong on its own as is, and it's so fucking hard to have the ammo to use it. So it's like I'd rather prioritize making my weapons I'm gonna have ammo for and use those first, and then I can focus on the other. That's the way I've always played those types of games. Is like some weapons are great, but they're a trap. I tried the Red 9 very briefly, didn't like it, so I ended up not using it. I used the Blacktail.
Gotta have the stock, brother.
The Magnum with the
I had
laser.
the stock. I got the stock with it. Just didn't like it. Just used Blacktail. But
the Magnum with the laser pointer. That's from Terminator 1, right?
Yeah, Killer 7 is
Killer 7.
basically an AMT hardballer with the fucking laser thing on it. But they're dumb. It's okay because Japan isn't allowed.
Yeah, they call
to
it
have
a Magnum, right?
a 45 Magnum.
Yeah,
I'm like, it's okay because Japan's not allowed to have fun over there. So.
That's
yeah,
true.
they don't know.
They make their own shotguns.
Like
handmade.
for instance, the Glock, you can't put the laser sight on. Get the fuck out of here.
That's
There's rail
stupid.
right there.
See the accessory rail on the gun model. Like
It was a balancing thing. That's the only thing I can think of.
Oh yeah, I mean, if you could put a laser on a fucking SMG, it'd be way too strong, right?
If you put a laser on the blacktail, that's all anybody would fucking use because it takes up the least amount of space and all that, all the other stuff. The stats for it, other than the smaller ammo count, it exceeds every other gun almost except the Red 9 in damage, I think.
Well, that's why I used it, was the fact that I had the space. It like having the space was more important because to be fair, early on I really liked using the I don't remember which one it was, the handgun that I think came with like the deluxe or whatever. I can't remember, like whatever.
Oh, the one with the extended mag and stuff.
Yeah, that had the extended mag. Like you could use a laser sight on it, and it was really nice. I used it early on, and it got me through a lot. And then when I finally had access to the blacktail, I switched over. But it was solely because I was running out of room, and there was like that annoying point. And I'll be the person to say it. I didn't want to deal with any of that shit with Salazar or whatever. So I definitely RPG his ass.
I egged him. I'm proud to say.
I didn't find the fucking egg. I was so mad I didn't find golden eggs, so I didn't egg him.
There's 2 of them in the game, and I sold one to satisfy a merchant request.
Same.
And the second one, I was like, I'm gonna keep this. I'm gonna try it. And I was really like, it's not easy. I was really proud of myself. Like he comes at you, and I shot him a bunch of times. And he kind of paused for a second, open the menu, get the egg, hit him with it, and then after that, I took out the riot gun and unloaded a magazine, and he died. Like it was really
oh, that's no, I didn't find the second egg, so I was like, well, fuck it, I got this RPG I'd already purchased, so I'm gonna use this.
That's what I always did in the original. I always, because you get an RPG as a treasure in the castle, and I always used it on Salazar.
Same. Then I also used I mean, again, I used 2 RPGs in my playthrough, but this was more like I already had the money. But yeah, I just did the Sadler one. I
didn't use one until the special one for the final boss.
Oh no, I used the regular one to beat Sadler before you get the special, because you can set him up so that you make him you can stun him and get his eye open, and then you just shoot him with the RPG, and then it goes to the scene where he becomes the bigger version of himself, and you need the special one with the giant red rocket. Yeah, I mean, that's clearly a joke, right? That's clearly like a dog boner. Like, why make it red like that? I don't know. You guys have heard the term red rocket?
It's rocket propelled.
Yeah.
Yeah, rocket propelled. But yeah, I don't know. Anyway,
did everyone play on just normal difficulty?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You guys didn't play on hardcore?
No.
I don't do that the first time I play any game.
I was fucking around. I definitely played normal.
Okay.
I got killed a lot. I died quite a bit. I think it was hard. It was a lot harder than the original.
I died a fair amount. I had a real what's the word? Stubborn approach to my weapons loadout. I kept thinking I was going to get a new pistol, and I just never did. And then when I got the Red 9, it's like the Red 9 is just genuinely one of my favorite video game guns of all time. So I knew I was going to use it, and I just ended up upgrading the starting pistol a whole bunch. And when you max it out, you get the 5 times critical.
Mm-hmm.
So after that, it's just every time I needed to do headshots, it came out. But if I needed to do damage, the Red 9 came out. So I had 2 pistols, a shotgun, and a rifle. I never futzed around with the only time I used a submachine gun the whole game is when I got the MP5. It came with a magazine in it, so I used that, and then I just put it in storage. Well, same thing with the M4. Used it, emptied it out, and then just put it in storage. I said, no, I don't need this. I got a Stingray.
My strategy, because I'm very stubborn, because I'm thinking old school Resident Evil. Every time when I try to shoot for the head, I always think like that's killer mode, and it does kill them sometimes. But with the remakes, it's like a RNG type of thing. So I noticed that I had to like strategize and shoot them in the leg, and they kind of do like a 180 where they turn around and then you can stab them. That's what I started doing at the late stages of the game. I would shoot them in the leg, they would get down on their knee, and I would stab them. So every time my knives would break, I would get to the merchant, repair it, and just keep on doing that rinse and repeat.
Did you upgrade your knife?
Yes.
Yeah, that was the first thing.
You use it
the first thing I did.
So much.
Yeah, I maxed the knife first, I was actually kind of disappointed that I didn't get
Me
to use
too.
Krauser's knife very much because
Yeah, you
that
get
knife
it
looked kind of cool.
right before the next to last chapter. Like that's so.
Yeah,
I can't wait to play this game again because I never used the Punisher, the Matilda. I never used the MP5, the M4. I never used Krauser's knife. I never used an RPG. Like I've got all the stuff I still need to do.
Yeah.
Yep.
Same.
I'm doing New Game Plus with all the stuff because at the end it says you could do New Game Plus with all those items that you got, but you can't get the S Plus rank. I'm like, I don't give a fuck about S
Yeah,
Plus.
like I was ever
Yeah.
gonna get that. What did you guys end up getting for a
A
grade?
B.
B, I think. Yeah, B.
Yeah, I got an A,
B
but
plus. If that's no, just B. I don't know.
I'm sorry, I got a plus. Holy shit!
Whoa, I got B plus.
To
No.
go back
Raccoon Police Department over here.
to go back on
Yeah.
Sadler. Once those bugs showed up, I said, "Fuck this!" and I pulled out the rocket and shot him. I'm like, "Yes!" And then that's when Ada came and
Yeah.
gave me the rocket.
Hey, I wanted to talk about the Novistadors or whatever they're called, the bugs. When they turned up, I was like, "Oh, fucking goddamn! I forgot about these guys. I'm so pissed off. They are so easy to kill.
Yeah.
So
they are
easy
really
to
easy.
kill.
2
And they
pistol
give you
shots.
pistol bullets after you kill them too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
2 handgun bullets. You literally they are there to give you handgun bullets and random jewelry that you can sell to buy stuff. It
And
was kinda
after
nice.
I upgraded the Red 9 fully, if you hit them in the face, they just die. They're just done.
It's really funny though because they're easy to kill, but they're also weirdly more dangerous. If you fuck around too much, it will fuck you up fast.
Yeah, if you let them charge you, you can.
I got
Yeah.
insta killed one time. Like I had flashbacks of when a hunter would chop your head off in the first Resident Evil. That happened. I was like, what? Like my
Like, oh,
head just
shit.
flew off and I was dead. I was like, God damn, was I that weak? I thought
No,
I had
I got auto killed by the last form of the Las Plagas. That like not the scythe one, like the big stupid worm one.
Where it
I got
gets
insta
close
killed
enough,
by
it
those
just-
motherfuckers like 3 goddamn times, and it kept being like
Same.
I'd stagger it, and then the A would come up, and it'd be like, "Oh, you could punch him, dude." I'd be all right, I'm gonna go punch him, and I'd get there just a millisecond too late and be dead. I was like,
Yep.
I'm not doing this anymore. Screw this. Every time one of those would turn up, I'd be like, okay, that's left on the D-pad, the right gun comes out, blam 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 blam. Okay, now I can move on with the game now.
Yeah, I
I
do
gotta
want to
ask-
say I channeled my inner Brock Lesnar in this game because
Suplex City.
yeah. So you were talking about the headshot thing, and you were talking about shooting them and then getting them down and doing the knife.
Mhm.
But I don't know if I think it was most enemies though. Instead of like the knife, you could also just grab them and suplex them. And I got to a point where one handgun shot in the knee and a suplex would kill pretty much anything, and they wouldn't regenerate with a head nonsense. So I did that a ton. The problem is you can't do it to every enemy because you get overwhelmed. So it was really great for like semi-stealth based stuff. If you
Mhm.
couldn't like fully get to them, I did that. Or if I like, fought like a couple enemies at once, I could do it. It's just those hordes. That was the only thing. I basically had a similar loadout to Andy: handgun, shotgun, rifle. But then I also had the SMG, and it was more of just like to get me out of like just bad fucked up situations. And then I also had a Magnum. I had just each one as you got them, but I didn't do anything with them. I mean, I had them there to use because again, the Magnums are still strong as fuck. They're just, I mean, again, you're wasting your time making ammo for them. If you find them, so be it. That's kind of how I treated it. It was
Yeah,
really helpful against Krauser.
That's another gun I need to. I never used the Broken Butterfly or the Killer 7.
I did.
Uh,
I used
yeah.
both of them.
I used both. Never upgraded them, but yeah, like I said, I hoarded my ammo, knowing that in the Krauser fight that I would probably use it, and that's what I did. And it was just like a lot of just like action commands of dodging and evading, parrying, and then just when I get a chance to just shoot him in the fucking face with the.
That Krauser fight is one of the few times in video games I was like, man, I wish that boss fight was way longer.
Oh my God,
so
how
much fun!
good was that
The
fucking
first
fight?
phase of it, where you're like just in that big area and he's shooting and then running over at you and then like disappearing and then shooting at you. That should have been way longer. The part where you're like getting through traps and stuff, that's kind of cool. And the fight at the end is really cool. But I loved like him being afar and shooting at me and dropping down and like not knowing where he is. That should have been the whole fight. That's so much fun.
Well, that
Yeah.
that felt like an '80s movie to me with the whole trap thing. Like it was like a Rambo type of thing where you're like, oh, I got to get through this whatever maze to get to the bad guy and stuff. So I dig that. I want to say the first fight when you're fighting with the knives and stuff.
That was
Man,
cool.
way better than fucking the quick time
Quick
events
time,
that
No,
you
that's a
got.
fun fight too. Yeah.
Because it's
And,
like, man, I wish because when you play the old game, people's complaint about the quick time events is like, God damn, I wish I could just play the game.
That part is hard.
You just they did it. You literally play that part now where you have
Yeah.
a knife fight with them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They did what everyone wanted. I felt a little bad though because there's that sweet knife fight, and then later when you're actually fighting him, the last phase before he goes monster mode, it gives you an opportunity to knife fight him again. Not me, man. I would parry once, shotgun comes out, unload the magazine.
No, that's what I did.
I was being a little bitch boy, but I was like, fuck this.
Oh no, I would do the same thing. I would evade. I'd parry him once or twice, and then I'd just shoot him in the face with the Magnum,
Yep.
and then kick him, and then I would just repeat that. And I think it didn't take very much to get through that sequence.
I
that and
actually
the shotgun.
I bought the final shotgun, like the one with the big drum magazine. Mistake. I should have stuck with the middle shotgun. But
Yeah, that's when I maxed out the middle one. I remember the name.
Striker.
Of it.
Yeah.
Striker.
Yeah, the striker's the move, I think.
What
But it's nice because I was just using it for crowd control anyway, and that's what the riot gun excels at. But it's just I lost that punchiness for bosses and stuff. But honestly, I would just take out the rifle, and I the first thing I did on all my guns is max out the power, but I maxed out the firing speed for the rifle. So if like something would get staggered, sometimes I'd take the rifle out and just bang, 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 bang really fast. That killed a lot of stuff in that game.
Yeah.
I gotta ask you guys this question because I was to the point I was like, what the fuck am I doing wrong here? You know, right before you fight Salazar, you have to go on the scaffolding, and you have to like slowly walk on the scaffolding.
Yeah. I did the same thing. I definitely ran and what the fuck? I died, and then I quickly realized, if you run through that, you fall. You have to walk it.
I walked back and forth like 8 times, and I guess it's because I wasn't running. That's part of the reason it took me so long to beat this game. I ran like nowhere. I snuck during parts of the game that sneaking was not required.
That's probably what I got an A.
It felt like what Leon would do, so that's what I did. I was, I'm fucking spooky.
Yeah, I beat the game. Like I spent a little bit of time doing whatever, but I didn't spend a lot of time like actually playing the game. Like I probably missed some stuff because I could have explored more, but I definitely just rushed through. I was like, do I need to kill this? Nope, fuck that, ran. And
no, not me. I was
I didn't die as much as I maybe I died more than I thought I was going to, or I would have playing the original game, but I didn't die too terribly much other than like specific sections. And I rushed through the game. I finished the game really quickly. So.
I picked through every corner, every box. I got every treasure on the island, all but one in the castle, and I think I missed like 3 in the beginning in the village.
Oh yeah, I'm sure I missed a ton of treasures and stuff. I didn't fuck around too much with like the medallion. Like if it was right there in front of me, I did it, but I didn't fuck around with a bunch of treasures and stuff.
I did all the medallions. I did all of the merchant requests except 2. One of them, it's like there's a big scary dog running around. You got to go fight it. I just didn't even know how to do that. And then I did the big scary monster, the armored guy in the castle. But then I have to admit, on the island, they're like, if you go back to the lab, there's a big scary monster.
Oh, fuck that.
And I was like, I just kind of want to beat the game. So I missed one by accident. I missed one on purpose, but I did all the other requests.
So I missed one on accident, and I skipped the other 2 intentionally. I didn't do the armored one because I wanted just to get through that because it was whatever. But then whenever it told me the lab, I just laughed like I would even go back and fight an even scarier regenerator.
That's part of what I was thinking.
Fuck that.
Ashley's with you at that point. And I was like, no.
That's what it was, right? It was a regenerator that wanted you to fight.
I assume it's in the lab, right?
Did you guys fight
Zach,
it?
you did it.
No, I got annoyed literally.
I think I missed that request actually.
Oh, really?
It's near the end of the game.
That one.
It's like right before the Krauser fight, basically.
Yeah, it's like so near the end, and I was like, I don't fucking. I've got Ashley with me. I know it's going to be a pain in the ass because the armor one was hard enough. I died on that one a few times, so
I got annoyed with the one where the it goes dark and shit, and like the regenerator comes out of the garbage and stuff, like because the enemies try to steal fucking Ashley.
Oh, that
at least once, if not
twice. I noticed there was a part where it triggers the regenerator. So you hang
back and you shot them all as they walked in the door, didn't you? That's what I did.
Yeah, so I did that just to make sure that Ashley was fine, and then I fucking like ran so that that stupid thing could fall off the bridge. But it took me a while because I was getting annoyed because the one thing I hate about these remakes even though I will say it's better aiming than what the original was, is like when you're aiming, I feel like the game is mocking me where they go, "Oh, you're aiming," oh, and they do this thing where they like dodge, and I'm
Well,
like,
yeah, of course they do.
yeah.
I
But-
really like if after you reload and you put your gun up, a lot of enemies will crouch immediately. I noticed that playing Mercenaries a lot.
But
Like
even
I
the
would
zombie-
reload and bring a gun up, and like 4 motherfuckers would all crouch
The-
simultaneously.
Even
This game
zombies.
has. Oh, go ahead, Dubs.
Just to like quickly, even zombies do that, where they just do the like, "Oh, you have a gun on me," and they do that dip, and I fucking hate it all the time. But it's like challenging, so I get it. It's for the
This
challenge.
game has like a super high amount of detail in like the AI and the physics. I saw a guy who was like, it was like one of those YouTube shorts or something, where he was like fucking around with the Ganados. He was like shooting them and like trying to fake them out and shit and shoot them and reload, and it was working. But there was one guy who like acted like he was gonna throw an axe, and he didn't, and he crouched. He was like ducking and dodging axes and shit. So he stopped, and then he threw it when the guy was standing up, and he hit him. It's like somehow the in-game enemies can like fuck with you like that. I've seen shit where it's like, I swear to God, I'd throw a grenade and somebody threw an axe and stopped my grenade and it landed right in front of me. It's like, oh shit! You just have to get out of there.
I had some ninja shit like that happen. Like kunai nonsense. Like, you need to get the fucking Naruto weeb shit out of here with your fucking axes. Yeah, I definitely threw a light or a flash grenade to try to go off, and they definitely like threw or did something and just stopped it from going off, and it was a dud.
I like that though. I think
I was
it's
like,
great.
well, fuck! I ran out of there. My butthole clenched, and I ran out of the corner, and I was like, regroup.
I've got something wrong with my brain. So toward the end of the game, especially if someone was about to throw an axe at me, sometimes I would let them because I'm going to shoot that out of the air, and then I would.
Oh, I thought you were gonna
So
say
I would just waste a bullet for no fucking reason. I just
Yeah,
like to do it. It feels satisfying, and I like it.
I thought you were going to say you parried it with your knife like a badass, like a man.
I did that a couple times, but I kept like forgetting that I could parry stuff.
Yeah,
with
same.
The knife.
Yeah, you still gotta like it's a new mechanic, so you still gotta get used to it.
Right.
But like I got more used to it as I went through the game. I guess I don't know. You want to just talk about general overall thoughts on it, like, and then we could kind of put it to bed.
Yeah, we've been talking about it a while.
Oh yeah, I mean, we can just move on each per. We can talk about individual things we did. I mean,
if you want,
Stop.
go ahead.
no, I was just gonna say, if you want it in depth, just watch me and Zach when we get to our Lost in Nightmares, and Andy and Chaz, you're welcome to come if you want to do a more in depth.
I was there for the original one, so
Yeah.
maybe.
I'd be down for that. As someone who avidly played, and maybe you guys need this because I don't know where the takes are, where you guys land on the game. I think this game is fantastic. I think that in terms of the remakes they have made so far, it has been my favorite of the more modern ones. I think it is just an improvement on what they were trying to do with 2, and 2 was excellent as well. Again, 3 I just haven't played. And I've heard a lot of shade about it, but we've talked about that before. I want to reserve my opinion for when I actually get to sit down and play it. But that all being said, there's just a lot of quality of life stuff that I think that's really good. And again, we're just at that point in gaming where people complain about, oh, well, this wasn't in the game before. But the thing is it wasn't in the game before because it didn't fucking exist, or it just was so difficult to do. Like if those things existed then, they would have been in the game. However, at the same time, maybe that takes away from the nostalgia of it. I don't know. But in any case, I love the game. I don't know if it overrides my nostalgia for the original, because don't get me wrong, my favorite of all time is still 3, because that's the very first one I played, and I still remember, like, it's just the game that made me stay up all night when I was far too young to be doing it, and I pissed myself, literally peed myself as a kid playing it, because it's fucking spiders in that mansion. But like 4 to me on the GameCube, specifically on the GameCube, was like one of the best games I'd ever played. Like for the longest time, that was my favorite game or one of my favorite games for a very long time, just like as a game itself. And I get the idea that it is different, but that game also helped revolutionize a lot of the way that single story games played. It's important for that reason too. So I don't know if I would say this one's better. Like mechanically and how it handles the story, oh, it's great. There's so much that's great about this game. And again, it's not. And at the same vein, it's still it's what it is. It's not an Elden Ring or God of War, but at the same time, it's not supposed to be. They're different games.
Yeah.
So
Different
Souls.
genre.
yeah, exactly, absolutely. Yeah, this is the Dark Souls of
Resident Evil.
Resident Evil.
I was
No,
gonna make a joke about how Chad's like, I just rushed through the game real quick. It's like, yeah, because it's not fucking Elden Ring or Dark Souls. Fucking whack off in every goddamn corner of those games, but you can't be asked to shoot medallions or rats.
Not gonna lie.
Okay, to be fair, again, I played a lot of this game while I was sick. That it goes back to Pale Rider. I actually burned through a lot of this game when I was sick, and it's funny. Normally, I'm the person, I love to be a completionist. I want to go back, I want to do everything, find everything. I usually spend a lot of time doing that in every game I play. This game, I did not give a fuck. I ran through it. I finished like 11 chapters in like less than 6 hours.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, you were burning through it quick then.
Yeah, you guys were like, where? Like, I was talking. I was like, I just finished chapter 1. And then like, I don't know, 6-7 hours later, I said I just started chapter 2, and then 6 hours later, yeah, I'm at the end of chapter 11. Like, well, shit, you went through that quickly.
Yeah,
I didn't check
me and
for
Chaz
anything.
put into overdrive after like you guys were like, "Oh, we're almost done with the game," and I was like playing MLB and stuff, and you guys were just like, "Fucking play the game." I'm like, "Okay."
Well, I was done. I've been done.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I haven't had a chance to check out Mercenaries yet. I'm excited to go back and do another playthrough because that's actually what's fun about this. The replayability of really of a lot of Resident Evil games for the most part is up there. But
That's a big part of that whole series is the replay value of them.
Mm-hmm. So I'm excited to go back and play and try the other games and put on the other silly costumes. I had the scene girl Ashley with blue hair, and I used the casual Leon for the game with sunglasses, so he looked ridiculous. He's wearing sunglasses at night, just shooting at stuff.
I didn't unlock any costumes for me until after I beat the game.
Oh, mine came with like the edition I bought or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah. Same.
But yeah, because I'm cool. I spent $10 extra or something. Yeah.
I like the way the characters look. I just kind of liked to play it regular.
Oh yeah, I thought the models looked fine. I just when I had a choice, I was like, oh, this will be funny, and I played it, and you run around with Scene Girl Ashley. It was hilarious.
A really stupid observation I had. I like Ashley better with the jacket.
I kind of do too.
I think I like Leon better with his jacket too. Everyone should.
I always did. I was like, God damn it, they stole my jacket in Resident Evil 4.
Stole my fucking jacket. And Luis's jacket also kicks ass. So basically, all the jackets in this game rule.
I want all the jackets. Shout out to the voice actress for Ashley. She was bearable in this fucking
bearable.
Yeah, and I also want to shout out that out of all the remakes, I dig the Ashley side mission more than the Sherry and the Ada Wong in Resident Evil 2.
Fuck that side mission. You can ask Zach. I hated that side. You were there for that. That was the thing I was stuck on. That was the thing that kept me from beating it until
I had
Zach
to help
and I
you beat
got
it
together. I just was getting so annoyed. We got through it, and then we polished the rest of the game right there.
I like the Scooby-Doo shit.
It was a joke.
I just thought it was a Scooby-Doo mission. And I'm like, oh boy.
It was kind of cool. I have the lantern, and like they're freezing. It was very tense.
Like Scoob, these nights are going crazy, man.
I know they never would have done this, but what would have put that over the top was in the original RE4 when you play Ashley's segment, it had fixed camera angles. If they could have somehow made that work with fixed camera angles, that would have been neat. Oh man, that would have been so cool.
Yeah, that would have been cool, but I get why they didn't because it's like how you explore it.
It's fine.
Yeah,
it's fine.
And my final thoughts is, I'm totally different. I did not like the original when it first came out because I wasn't a fan of it, but I do like this better than the original. I know a lot of people can be like, oh, you don't know what you're talking about. It's a personal thing. Zombies are my thing. Definitely this game, Resident Evil 4, I think they finally hit the chemistry of getting the remakes down really well. Number one thing, don't cut shit. They learned from Resident Evil 3, don't cut shit, and they kept things in there. And I think they need to follow that through. I wonder what they're gonna do next. I kind of liked what Zach was talking about, where we get Resident Evil 1 and 0 at the same time, where we get Alpha and Bravo stars teams and play it that way. But what it looks like based off of the end credit scene is that they're talking about Resident Evil 5 because he's like billions.
Yeah, that's definitely what it is. You're gonna get Chris and punching boulders and shit. I didn't get to finish my take. I want to get back.
I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. So for me, I don't know if I can personally say I'm gonna like this over the original, but again, nostalgia is a hell of a drug. That being said, I would definitely recommend this game over the original for someone who is new to the series or hasn't played either game. Just because the obvious, like it's just a much more palatable way to play it. I think this game is great. It excels in so many ways mechanically. Unless someone is just like really steadfast on I want to play older games and try. They don't care about the different things that you may or may not have, becoming a spoiled gamer, so to speak. I would recommend this version of it. I think it's great. Also, I think I would stand to say the Krauser fix, like the fight that we get with Krauser now, might be my single favorite change any remake of any game I've ever played has made. I absolutely love that fight. That fight is so much better than it was in the old games. I just did not like that QTE bullshit back then, and it's like the only low point for me, at least in that game, is that those QTEs were and knowing what they become, it's garbage. But they did such a good job fixing that and making those boss fights so much better. And I don't think any other remake of any game I've ever played has done that specifically with something and made it so much better than what it was. I could be wrong. Maybe Mr. X is pretty cool too. That whole idea with Resident Evil 2.
I think he's better in RE2 Remake because in regular RE2 he dies like super easily except for like 2 fights.
Right. Well, and again, I think that's the thing though. I'm not saying so much that it's like this is the greatest thing they've ever done. It's more just like the biggest improvement, I guess. Like comparing other games and remakes that I've played. I guess like again, Final Fantasy VII I don't count because spoilers. It's not really a remake. But you didn't hear that from me. I know, mind blown. Don't worry, the people that wrote Pell Rider didn't write that script. But
anyway. David Lynch did.
Yeah,
whoa.
Maybe.
Explain yourself. No.
But I can't think of any other game where I've played something and I had such a different take in a positive way on a specific element of it. But anyway, I'll stop yammering on. Again, more detail. I'm actually looking forward to joining you guys on Lost and Nightmares if things work out. It'd be exciting to talk about.
Cool. Andy, any final thoughts?
I'll keep mine short because honestly, this is one of the few. Usually, when a remake comes out, it either usurps the old one or I'm like, I'll just play the old one. This new one sucks. This is one of the few instances where I see myself playing both. I'm gonna play the old version again. I'm gonna play this version again.
Same.
This game's really, I mean, it's just fantastic. They just amplified everything I liked about the original. It's just a really, really, and it's that perfect length too, about 20 hours. Just such a satisfying gameplay experience. So I don't know.
Say 20 hours.
There's nothing really to add.
If you actually do other things.
Holy shit! I don't want to say I spent less than 10 hours playing in my run through, but holy shit!
You say you enjoy it, but like, did you?
It was a bit of a fever dream, but I did. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it thoroughly, and I look forward to going back and playing it in that weird, meticulous way.
We enjoy games very different. I'm like enjoying like the story and the voice acting and the story. Like,
I didn't skip anything. Like, I watched the scenes.
All the like, you know, the minutia of like game design and like, oh, this is clever. They put this over here. I forgot about the Vipers. There's only one on the whole island.
No. Here's how I did it.
Just like the way the maps loop back on each other and the way they've improved a lot of stuff. It's just, I don't know. I just like enjoy a game. Like the end isn't what I want. I want to play the game.
It's fine. I did minimal exploring. I did like the shooting gallery once and then said, fuck this. I'm not dealing with it anymore. I'm done with it. I watched all the scenes, but I learned a very important lesson. Unless there's a very specific thing where they like basically tell you, okay, you have to kill everything that you're fighting. I learned a long time ago. Fuck that. I'm saving ammo. If I can run, I'm running. If I got to kill it, I'll kill it, and so be it.
It's okay. To
That's how I handled it.
counter this, speedrunners can beat this game in like 2.5 hours somehow.
Yeah,
I believe that. That makes sense. That sounds about right.
yeah.
Well,
They just do some crab walking nonsense, and
Yeah.
Well, no, there's a couple of scenes like when the troll is on the castle tossing shit at you. You could shoot the boulders, whatever that thing that's holding the gate. You could shoot those to get through the castle quicker. And you know the part where you get the head of for the I forgot the snake head or whatever, one of those
Yeah.
heads. You know the platform. You could throw a grenade so you can kill that guy that brings the platform down, and the platform will stay up, and you can get the head and just
Oh,
bounce out.
that's
Really?
actually that's
Yeah.
not even a trick from the new one. Those are tricks from the old one too. If you see a guy in red, I just remembered that. It's just if you see a guy in red before he starts making chanting bullshit and a scene happens, you just fucking kill that guy, because if you don't, he's gonna make your life miserable.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that is the other thing too. I felt badass about is I knew when I got to the moment where I was going to be in the room with the bells and the fucking Wolverine freak things were out running around. I finished that whole sequence in like less than 2 minutes. I didn't fuck around. I took the stingray out. I shot a bell. They ran in. I fucking shot them in the back, and then immediately threw light grenades and killed them all.
Mhm.
Like, it just didn't fuck with it. It was like, it was a big nope. And it's just more of the trauma that I went through as a child, being like, I know this. I know what's going to happen. It's going to be bad. So I think that's, again, it's not like I'm playing a game for the first time and just like there's a lot of this that does hold up from playing the old one. So I just like, oh yeah, I remember this part. I remember this. And then I got to where Salazar, we didn't talk about this. Salazar's voice. That is something. That voice. Mr. Kennedy. It's kind of the same, but I couldn't remember the guy that has the
I
mustache.
miss him calling me on the radio.
It didn't make any sense though.
I know it never made sense. I miss like your right hand comes off. Like I just miss.
Yeah,
it.
that shit's great too for a different
Yeah.
reason.
Well, they replaced
Yeah.
it with it being on the loudspeaker, pretty much.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's kind of there. It's still. I don't know. It's just like I said. I'm gonna play both versions. Both versions got stuff I want to play again.
Exactly. No, they're great. But sorry, I got back into all my stuff. I'll save all this more. I will say nothing else about the game.
Zach, what about you?
Yeah, you guys overran me.
I got one more thing. No, I'm just kidding.
No, basically, I really like it. I find that people's opinion on it seems to depend on like how they reacted to the original. I liked the original. I didn't like it as much as a couple of other games in the series, but I still think it's like one of the best entries in it. My whole complaint with the original was it was just a little too much action, not enough horror. There was some there. People act like there's none, but there was some. And they ramped up basically all the stuff that was missing from the original, in my opinion, which was like more story, more horror, more survival. So I think I like this a little bit better than the original, but I'll always play the original because it's different.
Mhm.
So that's why it's like some people I've seen have like these fucking takes, these all or nothing takes about these remakes and the original games. It's like, I'll never play these old games suck, or the new remakes suck. No, and it's like and then if the remake comes out and it's bad, they act like it's ruined. It's like deleted the old one for some reason. I'm like, you can just play the old one. It still exists.
Yeah, like
And
Resident Evil 3. Like, God damn it, it's ruined. You
They
can't
acted
play it.
like they killed your whole fucking family in fucking Once Upon a Time in the West. It's like, it's still there. You can still play it, guys. It would be fine.
Yeah, especially in this case because you can play Resident Evil 4 all over the place.
Oh yeah, you can play it on the Zebo.
That's right.
But yeah, well, I'll save a lot more of my thoughts for the actual thing we're gonna do in Lost in Nightmares.
Another little Easter egg before we move on. Go in the throne room of Salazar sitting on the throne, and Leon's like, can't rest anymore. Get up. And he tells you to get up and move along. So I thought that was a nice touch. All right, yeah. So remember, Lost in Nightmares, when we finally do record it, it will have all four of us if they're available.
We're basically gonna give it a month, right?
Give it about 4 weeks to see if the DLC is gonna come out, and I kind of want to do another run in hardcore just so that I could because remember the whole ink ribbon thing. I want to see if that holds up to my argument that I'm gonna make on it. So I'll do that on hardcore and see what happens.
You guys played Mercenaries, except for Chaz. He said he didn't.
I haven't yet.
I have.
Playing as Krauser is so fucking much fun.
I know, right?
Like, I was like, he only has a bow and an SMG. This is gonna suck. No, it rules. I love it.
No, you know what? This thing that made me go, oh shit, was like when you use his knife. When you fucking see his knife attacks, you can just. I was like killing motherfuckers left and right with just a knife.
Like, the thing, you just stagger him with the submachine gun and run in there and just slash with the knife and just kill guys. It's so satisfying and fun.
Oh, so great.
And then when the big dudes come out, you blow them up with arrows.
Hunk is also fun.
Hunk's fun too.
He can instant kill anything if you stagger it. Just so you know.
I did not know.
This is the neck breaker thing.
Oh yeah, I did that a couple times, but it was just on like regular Ganado losers. I just thought it was a cool animation.
You can do it to the chainsaw guys. If you stagger them, you go up there and go done.
Oh, that's cool. I did not know that.
Shit. Okay.
Everybody plays different Mercenaries. It's something else I like too. It's improved a little bit in my opinion.
Hunk has the best action mode or whatever where you click
Mayhem.
He just has mayhem mode. That's because he just has an infinite magazine. Oh, I love it.
Yeah, it's great.
So, I didn't play any other games. As far as watching shit, I watched Picard episode 9 and Arc episode 11. I have that on my...
Why do you watch Picard? Not a real Star Trek fan would watch it.
I can tell that guy didn't watch anything. One of the things I know is, listen, there is a lot of woke stuff out there, but there's people that will be like, this is still woke, even though this season was really good. I know when things are good, when even the people that I watch that usually report on woke shit and stuff are like, this is fucking amazing. And then you have that one guy who's like, I'm not going to do it. It's stupid. That was one of the guys that was stupid.
See, how come you can be like that with Star Trek, but you can't be like that with Marvel or DC?
Because Terry Matalis I know his run with Star Trek. He cares. He talked to the people and said, hey, I want to get this right, instead of being like, you're all fucking misogynist, straight white males and stuff, and I fucking hate you.
So if they just got back people that were actually talented and tried, would that fix it for you? Basically,
it would have to be a consistent, and it would have to be apologetic to the
I
fans.
agree. I mean, I agree with you to an extent. We're just referring to like we had a little off camera chat.
Trust me, I knew that this was going to come up when I talked about it, so I was ready for that. But yeah, I don't know. Are you guys going to watch it, or can I? Pretty much.
I kind of do want to watch it. Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry to ruin your thing here. But...
yeah, I don't want to ruin it for you because it's that good. So
no, I've been seeing stuff about it. But was the 9th episode the final one?
No, the next week is the.
Okay, I saw some people saying, "Oh, the finale is gonna be so good" or so shit. I don't know.
Well, I'm not gonna ruin it. Just watch it. It's amazing. Even though it does that like Member Berries nostalgia thing, it does it in a right way where I'm just like, hey, it's good. It backs it up, and it's not being like, hey, do you remember this? They do, hey, you remember this? But it's part of the story.
Sometimes that's what I want. Like, I don't always want to have, ribs and lobster. Sometimes I just want a bag of potato chips.
Yep.
Fuck yeah, man.
You get fucking Doritos, that new flavor that you guys like. Or
you ever have
holy shit, that new flavor's so good.
The barbecue Doritos?
Yeah, the barbecue one. They just
I didn't like them that much.
They put it on the Twisty Fritos. Oh, they're so good.
You ever had the Lay's kettle cooked mesquite barbecue?
Yeah,
chips?
That's good. That's good.
Yeah, they're
Those
good.
are some fucking good shit.
Yeah.
If we're giving potato chip shout outs, shout out to the Canadians with their all dressed.
Oh man, what happened to those?
Dude, all dressed pretty good. They're still around. You can just find them. It's kind of like the queso ones.
They're only sold certain places or something.
Yeah, queso ruffles are also a shout too. I think Mexico felt left out.
Potato chip review podcast. I think.
Big Trouble, Little Potato Chip.
It won't last very long. Spoilers. We're fat. They're all pretty good. We'll eat them all.
Yeah.
I actually do have a new non-ship obsession. Lately, when I'm making my big drives back from Columbus, I stop at Sheetz and I get Andy Capp's hot fries. Man, they're so good.
Oh,
I
hot
love
fries.
why can't you buy them everywhere? Like they're only sold,
know.
like some places, and even then they only have certain size bags.
They got
Andy
them at
Capp's hot fries
Wawa.
is everywhere.
It used
It's
to be more
always either
widespread.
like it's enough to feed a mouse, or you're going to feed an entire family of elephants.
Exactly right. Yeah, it's either like not enough, or like I don't fucking need this much. Like, I hate it.
And like when you have the hot fries, your nose is running, but you're just like, I don't want. I
I'm
just want to
not,
keep on
not
eating.
so good.
I've been trying the other ones. The ranch ones are good. The cheese ones are fine. I can't find the barbecue ones anywhere.
They used to have like a bacon and cheddar. I used to like those a lot.
No, I haven't had those.
That was like way back in the day. I don't even know if they make them anymore. But I think now they just have the cheddar fries instead. But which they've been around for a while. It's the mild for the pussies that can't handle the hot fry, but myself included. But,
Yeah, no, I mean the hot fry. I like the hot fry a lot, but sometimes in a long car ride, it's the ranch fries for me.
No, that's fair. They're pretty good.
Final thing that I do want you guys, if you have a Apple TV free trial, watch the Tetris movie.
Fuck, I really want to watch it.
It's really, really fucking good. Now, all the people out there like it's not the right story and stuff. It's dramatized, but I will say this: what's his fucking name? Hank Rogers, and Alex. I don't know how to say his Russian name. Petretrov, whatever his name is, the guy who created Tetris, said that apparently, even though it was dramatized, it was accurate in a way, how the film portrayed what happened. But it's very James Bond espionage stuff that happens with Hank Rogers trying to get the rights to Tetris and how they got Alexis out of Russia and stuff. But their soundtrack is fucking amazing. Two, I like the transitions that they do. They're very pixelated. Even like when there's like a car chase that's happening in the film. Yes, there's a car chase. Like when the cars hit something, the whole car turns into like 8-bit. It's fucking cool. But I had fun. Like this movie's probably my favorite movie of 2023 so far.
I want to watch it real bad. Like I might just get a trial just to watch just that.
Yeah, usually check like.
I want to watch Severance too.
Severance is a really good show.
Yeah.
But yeah, I again, that's another thing I don't want to spoil. I mean, I'm pretty sure everybody knows the Tetris story, but just the way it's told on the movie.
Do they succeed? Do they bring it to the West?
I don't know. You're gonna have to find out. The Soviet Russia fucking fall. I guess you gotta watch the movie.
This is like it's unrelated, but it's the time when someone was complaining on Facebook that they went and watched Steven Spielberg's Lincoln, and they were really upset with the ending because they didn't expect it. And I'm like, well, sounds like you paid attention all school. Thank you for that, you fucking idiot. What do you think was gonna happen? I really thought he was a vampire hunter.
It's like those videos where you see people asking people questions on the street. Where's Australia? I think I'm pretty sure it's like near Africa. I don't know.
How many countries can you name? Texas, Philadelphia,
Great Britain,
the North Pole.
Yeah, but that's all I've done. Like I said, I've been doing a lot of job hunting, and obviously I did a job interview, but watch Tetris. I don't care how you watch it, on the seas or trial. But Andy, what the hell you been watching, playing, or doing?
I don't know why, but I watched the movie Twins.
The Google Docs. I was like, "Do you mean the Arnold and Danny DeVito movie?"
That's the one. That's the one I watched.
Yeah.
I'd never seen it before, and they just added it to Netflix. And
You've never watched it? Oh, it's even better.
I've never once seen that movie before.
Wow.
I got home at like 3 a.m, so I slept in kind of late. But the dog doesn't let me sleep in too late, so I just kind of felt shitty. I just wanted to watch like something dumb, so I put on Twins, and the movie's okay. It's got its moments. I also watched also on Netflix a movie called Booba. It's German. It's like an offbeat kind of dark comedy. Not kind of dark, a very dark comedy. It's all right. It's kind of it's got its moments, but ultimately it's just kind of whatever. This guy thinks he like believes in the idea of karma so outrageously that if anything good happens to him, something bad happens to his brother. So he has a lot of pain inflicted on him on purpose so that his brother is okay. And then they get wrapped up in like the mob and a bunch of wacky stuff happens. It's okay. It's an all right movie. Okay. Now I need you guys to buckle up because I'm about to talk about a fuckload of F1 stuff and none of you is going to like it.
Hey, what?
No, hold on just a second.
Mute.
I like
Get
it.
out of here, you bitch. But there wasn't even a race this week. That's part of why I had to watch a bunch of other stuff though. Is I guess they're in. I've heard it called the spring break, but I think just coincidentally this year there's this big gap in between Australia and I don't remember what's next. Azerbaijan, maybe. So I watched every single video that a YouTuber has made about F1 called Rocket Powered Mohawk. He's a Scottish guy and he cusses a lot. He talks about F1. Fucking hilarious. I really love his videos and I like wanted to share them with you guys, but you're not gonna know what the fuck he's talking about. So I just kept it to myself. You're welcome. I was so desperate to watch a race. I watched the German Grand Prix from 2010 just because I have the F1 streaming service, and it's kind of like the WWE nonsense. You can watch all the old stuff too. So I watched it specifically because there's like a meme moment that comes from that race. Back then, the rules said that you weren't allowed to issue team orders to your drivers. You can only talk about like, oh, there's something wrong with the car, or tires, or oh, box come into the pit. They're allowed to now. They're allowed to say stuff like, oh, we want you to let your teammate pass, or we want this other stuff. But at the time, that wasn't allowed. But they wanted, I can't remember his first name. I think it's Felipe Massa. They wanted Massa to let Fernando Alonso pass. Alonso's like becoming like my favorite driver. He's driving now. But they wanted to let him pass, so they kept getting on the radio and telling Massa, Fernando is faster than you. And they said it like 3 times, and now it's like a joke. But they were trying to tell him, let Fernando pass you, you idiot. But he wouldn't do it. Fernando ended up winning the whole race, of course. And I started watching the most recent season of F1 Drive to Survive on Netflix, which is a big part of the reason that the race is becoming more popular in the United States. Is that show is just outrageously good. Like, I still highly recommend it to anyone. Don't start at season 1, just watch season 5. It's about last year. You don't really need to know much except the fact that the previous season ended with a ton of controversy, and they go over that in the first episode. But there's a lot of drama. It deals with Mercedes and Red Bull right off the bat. Episode 3 is about Ferrari, so that's like all the best teams. And like episode 2 has like a huge wreck in it that's really dramatic, and it's kind of funny because if you've seen all the races, you know how they end and you know how the wreck turns out and stuff. But I don't know, they make it really dramatic and interesting. The show's extremely good. Like, if someone would just watch that show, I'd have someone to talk to about F1, and it would help me so much. I mean, I talk to my dad about it all the time, but I don't have any friends I can get into it. But still, someone, come on, just watch like the first couple episodes of Drive to Survive. You'll see, you'll like it. But that's all. I watched a bunch of that stuff.
All right, Zach, what the hell have you been watching, playing, or doing?
Well, I played Control and I beat it.
Yay! You controlled.
I did. That was actually a line. She was like, "I'm in control now, bitch." She didn't say bitch. I added the bitch part.
Sometimes you guys throw in that sentence enhancer. Right?
Yeah, the script needed a sentence enhancer, but really cool game. I will say I thought that the end of it felt a little flat, like in the story, like what happened.
That's Remedy games for you.
Is it?
Yeah.
Because this is my first one I've played. And I didn't realize these are the same people who did like Max Payne. I didn't know that, actually.
The only ending I actually really liked was Quantum Break. But
I have Quantum Break. I haven't played it yet.
It's a mixed bag. There's some things I like and hate about it, but every ending of a Remedy, I guess the only one that like I give leeway to is Max Payne. Because Max Payne's fucking awesome.
Did Alan Wake end that way? Did it have kind of a flat ending?
Yeah.
Huh. Well, I'm still really interested in playing it. So
Oh yeah, it has a connection to Control, which I never played Control. So
We're gonna do a swapsies.
yeah, so
You should play Control, and I'll play Alan Wake.
There you go.
Get it.
But yeah, cool game. I got into the DLC, which I already said. I finished the Alan Wake DLC. There's a second one I'm gonna do, and then I'm done with it though. I'm also been playing WWE 2K23 some more now since I beat Control, and I've beaten Resident Evil 4, but I'm gonna go back to it at some point. But like I'm in good standing, so as far as I'm concerned, I can move on to other games.
Right.
I started doing the My Rise mode because I never did that. Like, I didn't do it with the last one. I didn't fuck around with like the single player modes that much. And I was like, okay, I guess I'm gonna do this. And they have like 2 stories basically. Like, either you do a male superstar and you're just some nobody, or you do a female wrestler who you're a legacy wrestler now. It's like you're like a second generation, so people pick on you more. And see, where you're with girls, it's even worse. No, it's actually been kind of funny. Like, I don't know, like it's been entertaining. I'll say this: it's like they somehow come up with a way in the writing to like make it in kayfabe make sense somehow. So even more so sometimes than what WWE or AEW does.
Every time, like when you end a match and stuff, and you have to go and like this choose adventure thing where you have to like choose a path and stuff, as far as who you want to wrestle and what storyline you want to do. I just miss the old WWE versus SmackDown where you just like roam the area and then find the wrestlers, or like SmackDown Here Comes the Pain where you go around and then you find fucking praise the Lord Devon.
You fight Reverend Devon in the bowels of the building.
Yeah.
Fucking some shit. But
I just missed that.
They kind of have that in this. You're just not really roaming around. It's like it just plants you in a room, and basically anybody that you would interact with is standing there. Or since this is like the modern era where people fuck around on their phone and shit, you can like check your DMs or see shit on social media and cause things to happen there. A whole quest, a storyline happened based off of that, where somebody was DMing me on my Twitter and they were creeping because I'm a hot girl wrestler. And she's like, all right, you could be nice or you could be an asshole. And I was just like, listen, I understand you're a fan, but like, come on, I got things to do. They asked like a million questions, and then it got to a point where apparently this same person is harassing other people. And it turned into this thing where it's like, if you want to find out who I am, meet me at the Raw and so before the show starts. What the fuck? Okay. And I fought an actual wrestler. I fought Cora Jade. She's in NXT right now. And then I beat her ass. And then it's like, she goes, so you're the one that did this. And then I'm like, no, you were the one that did it. Wait a minute. Just to compare texts, and it spirals out into a whole storyline or something about somebody fucking with everybody in the roster, like through social media.
It's funny.
I don't know. I thought it was funny.
It's funny hearing Shawn Michaels' fucking voiceover though.
Oh, I haven't heard him yet. Like the only person I heard, I saw Sammy, and it was weird because he was kind of doing lines like he was still like the conspiracy theory Sammy, not like how they present him, like where he's Sammy Uso, Sami Zayn now. I was like, it feels kind of dated. They must have recorded that shit like way before the storyline started.
Oh yeah, they have Dominic Mysterio when he's wearing his bodysuit before he becomes Prison Dom.
Before he becomes Prison Dom and he becomes awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been. I'm having fun with this mode actually. It's cool. Also watched. I guess I'll continue the wrestling thread for a minute. I resolved to watch some really old wrestling after the stuff that happened at WrestleMania and whatnot. And I was like, fuck it, I'm going to go as far back as I can. And I found on the Peacock, the oldest thing I could watch was a WWF show from Madison Square Garden in June 30th, 1973.
Wow.
Yeah, so I watched that, and it was interesting. Like, I would not say objectively it is a good show, but there were some names on it. Like George the Animal Steel was in there, and he was in the main event with Pedro Morales, who was the champion at the time. And I was like, oh boy, I'm going to see George the Animal Steel when he was like more of a serious heel, and it was like a bullshit 3-minute match. It was a letdown. Like, the match got stopped because he was bloody. He got split open in the match, so they stopped it. So they even had match stoppages back then. It's not new, but the best match was between two guys I'd never heard of, and it was actually like decent. But I think the standout for me was the fact there's two things. Vince McMahon did commentary all by himself. Vince Jr.
Was that typical?
At that point, yes, because this is 1973, so Vince is like just doing whatever he can get into at that point. And so I didn't realize he was doing commentary that far back, though, is the thing. So that was like
I thought it was just like the late 80s, early 90s.
Must have had a little baby face.
He did. Yeah, he did. If you find really old pictures of him. But he would do interviews, and I guess he even did commentary. But I saw Mr. Fuji when he was a wrestler. That was like the most interesting thing. I didn't actually know Mr. Fuji was a wrestler. But it was funny because he did this thing. He had a partner named Professor Tanaka.
You could say Professor X. I like
No, Professor Toru Tanaka. And they would both do this thing because they're both Japanese, where they do a ritual where they have like salt, and they throw salt in each corner of the ring.
Yeah, I've seen that.
And they're like, Vince is like, it's to ward off evil spirits, I believe, or something. And then both guys had a match separately on this show. Some old lady would be allowed to come up to the ring and just swept the salt away and yelled at the Japanese men. Like, get out of here, go back to Japan. And she's like cleaning up the salt, like ruining their ritual or some shit. She was just allowed to do that. I've heard stories though about like fans that would go to the garden shows all the time and would sit really close to the front row, how it was basically like they were like special guests pretty much. It got to a point. So I guess that's what that was. But Mr. Fuji was cool because he did what I like to call the Oriental tit hold. Because that's just what it like. Listen, some old things from wrestling don't hold up. Some moves and stuff, like the spinning toe hold, that sucks. I can't buy that as a wrestling move. This is another one where it's basically just imagine I'm gonna grab your outer pectoral region, and I'm gonna hold it, and that's gonna just stop you, and you're gonna be in such horrible pain that you can't punch me in the face.
Yep.
He did that to Chief Jade Strongbow. He had him in the Oriental tit hold for 5 minutes, and he could not move. And I was like, this sucks. I like Mr. Fuji, but this sucks. I can't buy this.
Turns out wrestling has been shit for ages.
Yeah, so the people that go like, all the old wrestling is better. No, not all of it. There's still some things that suck.
Well, that's why the 80s and like the 90s were like the golden age of wrestling.
There's still shit things there too.
Yeah, Hulk Hogan's the greatest wrestler of all time. He's never done anything wrong, and he made wrestling the best thing it's ever been.
That's what he'll tell you, brother. But yep. No, the best thing Fuji did though was I think Strongbow eye raked him, and he did this shit where like it was the best sell I ever saw for an eye rake. He was like, ah! And he started like fucking shaking, and he would like swing wildly like he was punch drunk and he was missing. But he would swing so hard he flung himself across the ring. And he would get up, and he did it again. He did it like 3 times. It was like one of the funniest things I've ever seen. But that was cool. I'm gonna watch some more. But yeah, so far this is just like an experiment. But I watched some more Outlaw Star. I'm getting through that.
Yeah.
Enjoyable so far. It's picking up more now that like they've kind of figured out how to run the ship, and Gene's actually gone back out to space. I also finished reading Catwoman Volume 2 by Jim Balint. Good stuff. Good 90s, mid-90s crime stories. Because these aren't crime fighting stories, these are crime stories.
Oh.
You know? Because she does crimes.
Ah, yes.
Selena Kyle.
They did a thing though where they at the end of the book they had the annual from that year, and if you're not familiar, books would typically have like an annual issue, and it would be like a supersized issue,
64 pages.
yeah, which it's pretty big.
Yeah.
But they did it where it was like year one, like it was based out of like the stuff that was going on in Batman year one. And it kind of just showed like what was going on with her at the time, and it was really interesting. It's the first time I've seen anybody try to explain why she's so good at martial arts. I've never seen that before. Because you know how it's just like, why is she so good at fighting? She's just like some chick. You don't really know that much about her background.
Right.
Crime. But like she kind of bumbled into like fighting with some ninja thief motherfucker and kind of like fucked up his job, and she followed him out of spite because he basically kind of kicked her ass and called her a filthy woman. Just and like she followed him, tailed him to like this weird secret dojo or some shit, and the guy that was the master there basically was like, I like you, fucking I'm gonna teach you shit too. And it felt appropriate. It felt like something you would see in year one. It was cool. And I guess since everybody likes to do a random thing that's just totally unrelated and may not interest anybody, do you guys remember yo-yos?
Sure
Yeah.
do.
Yeah, those are things.
Were you into yo-yos any? Like, remember like in the late 90s when like Yo Mega kind of came out? And
No, like I had a cheapo like Fruits Pharmacy yo-yo or some shit, but
I had the one with the
I remember
balls
kids
inside
at
of
school
it.
had like $200 yo-yos and stuff.
Yeah,
Yes.
I have that. I had a Duncan, but it was like a cheap one. Like,
Yeah.
So the yo-yos didn't turn into like the big trend until like I was in 6th grade in middle school. And everybody was doing yo-yos, and they had the Yo Mega yo-yos, and I just had like the Duncan, just standard, the butterfly, and I think like
the butterfly. That's what I had, that because it like had a recess for your finger. That's right.
And I had the Imperial, which is like the standard one. And they were like, check this out, and they go.
Walk the
and
dog.
that fucker sleeps for like 30 seconds. It's like, well, I can't do that. So of course I had to get a Yo Mega yo-yo, and I got several. I was digging through some of my old stuff and I found them. See, this is
Oh yeah, that's exactly the same one I had back in the
This
day.
that's what he's talking about.
Yeah.
This is an X-Brain. It's sweet. It's got ball bearings and shit in it.
Dude, like it's kind of wild. Like in our childhood time, we were bothering our parents for Pokemon cards and fucking yo-yos and shit.
My dad was like, "What's wrong with the Duncan?" I was like, "It doesn't. It only sleeps for a second, and it doesn't go."
Yeah, dude, that's satisfying sound and shit, and like doing the cradle and all that stuff.
I've got a saber wing. This is another one of my old Yo Megas. Sweet.
I gotta find my yo-yos. I still have it, and I also have my fucking Pog collection that I need to find.
But I was looking at. I was after I found these. I was like, are they still around? And I started researching. Sure enough, they are. And they've made other ones. And I got into the crazy yo-yos, like the ones that are made out of fucking aircraft aluminum and shit.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my god, there's like a whole other layer to this I wasn't aware of before. So I guess I decided I'm kind of getting back into yo-yos just for fun.
I kind of decided I'm getting back. I'm making yo-yos a thing.
So see, here's the Yo Mega Alpha Wing. It's basically just a butterfly. It's their version of the butterfly.
Oh, I forgot about these.
And this is the Magnetar.
I forgot.
This is
new in box.
And it's still in the box. I mean, I could take it out and put it back in the box, so it's cool. But this is the Magnetar. It's pretty cool too.
Condition.
It's like it also does the, but it's got like this concave shit here, and it's like it's a very satisfying color. It's nice. I'm gonna get some more. I never got a Fireball, so that's probably the next one I'm gonna get.
That sparked something in my brain just hearing that.
Yo, Mega Fireball, brother.
Yeah. It's like you hear a keyword and then your fucking KGB mind is triggered and your sleeper agent.
Your programming fucking activates.
Yeah, track down for some reason I wanted yo-yo team and steal their fucking shit.
I'm gonna get that $200 aircraft aluminum fucking yo-yo. That's what I'm getting. That's the next step. I'm gonna Chaz this shit up.
If you spend that much money on it, it has to be your thing, at least for a while.
I'm done. That's all. That's all. I just want to talk about yo-yos for a minute.
There you go.
That's a nice little switch up.
Chaz, you're up.
Yeah, I did a fair amount of stuff. So we'll get one thing in there real quick. You guys will like this. I kind of finished with Boruto. I'm up to speed with where the dub is at the moment.
Finished?
Kinda. So I'm currently not watching any more of any Naruto related episodes. So until more comes out. So that is a thing, but I won't be talking about it for a bit, so that's okay. I'm sure you guys will be very sad. I watched a couple more episodes of The Last of Us, but of course, life has just been crazy between illness and work, and we've got family in and all kinds of stuff, so we've not had much time to watch.
Wish you were The Last of Us. Am I right?
Yeah, I know, right? But we watched episodes 4 and 5. Yeah,
those are the good ones.
Sad. Yeah, episode 4 to 5 were tough, which I kind of expected to be kind of rough. But yeah, the end of episode 5 is it's such a bitter taste in your mouth for what happens. But like you want to keep watching. Yeah, it's the ending of the Henry and Sam arc. It's sad, but anyway. Still playing, of course we talk about Resident Evil, still playing some Overwatch 2 here and there. It's just been fun just to get my stuff out. I don't know why, but someone sent me a thing in a local store is started holding fighting game tournaments again, and they're mainly doing Smash, but they were gauging interest, and an overwhelming number of people, and by overwhelming I mean of the 20 people that replied, over half of them were like, you should do a Dragon Ball FighterZ tournament. And I'm like, oh yeah, I'll go there and kick somebody's ass. So I started playing it again and knocking the rust off there, playing online, and yeah, it's been good. First I kind of sucked and got back into ranked and ranked back up to Majin level, and I'm working on that, so it's fun.
Majin Chaz.
Yeah, Majin Chaz.
Who do you play as?
Do you do martial arts as well?
I do. Kung Fu Grip. All of it. I'm currently using the team of Android 18, Beerus, and Kid Goku from the GT series.
Huh.
That is my team, which I'm proud of because those are not popular characters in terms of the fighting game. A lot of people are basically, if they do not have blue or red hair, currently
they are Ultra God Instincts bullshit saying.
Yeah, like all of those characters are the bullshit ones that people are playing because they have gimmicky things. Like this is a game that is highly it's highly focused on offense, and very few characters, I mean basically none of them have counter options. Those characters literally have counter attacks. So it's why everybody plays them. But no, I like to use Beerus. Beerus is fun because he's very flashy, because he hits everybody with giant balls of death, and he's funny. But
balls of death.
That's what I'm doing.
Funny. He looks like a hairless cat.
I'm doing the thing. But yeah,
I like him because he's like, I'm not even trying. I'm bored with this. The only reason I didn't destroy Planet Vegeta was because I was too far away.
Yeah, I like using him too because like one of the moves he uses, for instance, he just sneezes a ball of destruction. Like he goes achoo, and like a ball happens by accident, and it just happens to float around the screen while other stuff happens. But also his level 3 is Hakai. But the way he does it, he just grabs him and he just snaps, and Hakai happens. And if it KOs him, it's just like this most satisfying thing ever. So I know it's cool. But anyway, been having fun doing that. I had a family event where my nephews were here, and my nephews and Evie and I, we all played Mario Kart.
Oh.
And bless her heart, Evie's really trying hard. She's into Mario, which we'll get into that for a minute. Why? Because we're talking about the Mario Brothers movie. But she wants to drive Baby Peach all around the world, but she just, bless her heart, she does not get the concept of how to steer.
Do you turn on all the assists and stuff for her?
I do, and she can functionally drive. But the problem too is that it's weird. If you put on the thing where she can steer by moving the controller, then she doesn't move it, and she stays in place, and she'll just hold but she lets go of the gas. I don't know why she does this. It's weird. I just tell her to keep the button held down. But then if I switch it so she actually uses the stick, she'll try to do it. For a few seconds, she'll do it. But then after that, she's like turning the controller to do it again, and she's let go of the gas. She doesn't get the concept that she has to do these things at the same time yet. Her hand-eye coordination is dog shit. She is a 4-year-old girl. So we got to teach it, right? But anyway, she's getting there. That was fun, though. We've had some fun. We did go and see the Super Mario Brothers movie. It was awesome. She enjoyed it a lot. Bowser was great. There's so many references, little digs, and Easter eggs everywhere, just peppered through the movie. And I mean, even in subtle places, just little things that are hanging up on the walls and just like little details. It's a lot of fun. At one point in the movie, has anybody watched it yet?
No, not yet.
No.
Okay, definitely recommend if you get a chance to go see it. I mean, I'd understand if you didn't want to because it's still like all over theaters and it's crowded with a bunch of kids. But definitely worth a watch, especially when you have a chance to stream it or something for sure. But anyway, there's a scene that involves Donkey Kong, and Edie is very invested. We went and watched it, and she's very invested in Mario. And she's like, "Oh no, Mario, don't!" And she's like worried something's gonna happen to him. And Donkey Kong saves him and does something, and she just yells in the movie. She doesn't know his name. She goes, "Thank you, Brown Monkey," which is why. And like other people laugh. It was a full theater, so people were like laughing. It was cute, and I was like, "His name is Donkey Kong," and she goes, "Drunky Frog, thank you." The name is really cute. So she called him Drunky Frog.
YouTube channel right there, Drunky Frog.
Drunky Frog, yeah. So she called him Drunky Frog, the brown monkey. But and now she thinks it's cute, and people laugh at her when she does it. So she does it all the time now. But yeah, we had fun watching it. It was awesome. And she's into Mario, so that's why Mario Kart came up, and we tried Super Mario U. She's not ready for that yet. Again, over time she'll get this stuff down.
Did you hear? Sorry, it's feeding off of your Mario thing. Did you hear what John Leguizamo said? He was like pissed off that he didn't get invited to be in the movie, and so he's boycotting it.
Why is he so bitter? Why is he always doing
a real
shit like
whiner?
that?
A guy just bitches about everything that comes out, right? Like, he's bitching about. There was another like series of movies or another movie that came out. He was complaining about too. In the same vein,
go do a remake of The Pest, you fucking.
Like you weren't invited to the movie because the movie you made before nearly killed the franchise. You creep. It's not his fault. Like he's just getting paid to do his job. If anything, him and Bob Hoskins were just a part of it that like almost saved it. But otherwise, that movie sucks.
They weren't trying that hard.
They weren't. It's like it's there.
I've been extremely interested. For not for the most obvious reasons, I promise, but I have wanted for years for there to be like a collector's fancy Blu-ray of that movie because everything about it getting made is fascinating. It had like 5 different screen rewrites, and you can read a couple of them online. All these different people were involved. The companies that were involved didn't really make any sense. Like one of them had never really made a movie before, and for some reason here they are making a Super Mario Brothers movie. The Bob Hoskins and John Leguizamo were drunk on set almost every day.
Oh my god!
Like it's just a real interesting story. And I guess the directors, it's like a husband and wife pair. Everyone fucking hated them. Wow, it's interesting. Google it sometime. It's really fascinating.
It is interesting. Yeah, all these things working against it, and it still managed to come out and suck.
I mean, there was a lot of money behind it. So
yeah, well, this movie is with the other direction. It's had money behind it, but it's been very successful. Obviously, it's been this huge success so far, but it's worth it. It's definitely a fun thing. I feel like anyone that comes out of that movie and is like upset or didn't enjoy it went into that movie knowing they were going to leave saying that they didn't like it. It's one of those deals. Like, it's enjoyable enough. Like, I don't think there's anybody that can come out and outright hate it. It's not a perfect movie. It's a kid's movie. Like, it's still fun though. Only thing I guess I could ask is that you can give my boy Luigi just a little more respect. But at the end, he kind of gets it. But so Pokemon, I got to play in a rather large tournament. I went to a shop nearby. Normally they hold an event on Saturdays. Well, I guess like once every 3 months or something, they do a much bigger version of that event. Well, that sumbitch ran for like 8 hours, and I didn't think it was going to. But I won in the whole thing. So I was there until like 2 a.m. thinking I was playing just for a few hours.
Jeez.
Nope, I was there until super late, but I won and I wasn't giving up. So that was cool, and I won a bunch of money. So that was nice. But yeah, and then of purchases and stuff I've made, I've actually finally finished. I think since the last time we've had the show, I can't remember if I'd had it or not, but I have finally acquired my vintage stuff. So I was going to show off at least a couple pages of it. The first thing was this card, which I don't know if you guys can see it or not. Try to get it in the light without it being all shiny. That is a Japanese Shining Mew. It is only in this, and it's a promo from the Korokoro magazine. It's the only version of a Shining card like its kind. Very, very rare. Got it amongst my other collection of Japanese promos. I'm not going to show all the random promos out. This thing, I'm just going to show a page of it off. The front page and the back page are basically the big ones to show off. But you can see here, I've got the triple sleeved binder. I'm going to try to pick it up. But if you can see here, this first page is, I don't know how that looks on the screen or not, if I need to back up, but those are the starting order of the original Shadowless cards in holo form. So that's a Shadowless Charizard there. And then the second page continues on, and it just goes on all the way up to the last set they did before they started doing the e-readers. So it's every holo card that they printed, aside from promos, which usually promos weren't holo back then. But it's every holo card that Wizards of the Coast made for Pokemon from the original ones up to that. And I didn't just I went extra with it. So I have both base 2, base set Unlimited, and base set Shadowless. And then this is the other big page. That's the money page. So the last set of that were the Neo Destinies cards. And in Neo Destiny, they did the Shining cards, which I'll pull out. These, you can see there's this. I think I've actually shown this one before. That's like the most expensive card in my set right now. It's worth about $2,000. So, yeah. But that page alone that I just showed is worth, because some of them are first editions, it's worth about $5,000. So, yeah, this is the tuition binder. So I've been working on lately. Never mind that I also just may or may not have had to buy a car for a family member and might be buying a house, but we won't go there because this isn't Chaz's broke podcast. So anyway,
I'll hit this for you.
Fuck your life, bing bong.
Nailed it. But that's really it. I don't know. It's been weird. I've had a decent time with things lately.
Yeah. Actually, even though we were just like a week off, it did feel like 2 or 3 weeks. That week was long. I will give you that. So, and plus, like with the Resident Evil 4 stuff, like that's fresh on our mind and stuff, and all the stuff that's happening. But Andy, what do you think about cutting the 2 news things that we were going to talk about since we're at 2 hours?
Fine.
Okay.
Yeah, we held pretty lengthy, didn't we?
Yeah, we're over 2 hours.
It's been a while.
So yeah, it's been a minute.
If remember, Young Guns is the next movie that we're going to be talking about, and then obviously we're going to be ranking because that's the last movie, right?
Yes.
And that means Andy is up for. I think he's doing Eastern movies, right? Are you still doing that, or
I
I think so.
We did Westies, so now we're doing Easties.
Exactly. We watched some gunslingers. Now we're gonna watch some samurai.
Yeah. So remember to watch Young Guns and then come back here. We'll talk about it. We're all on every podcast service. We're also on YouTube. So remember to hit the like and subscribe button and comment down below if you disagree or agree, or if you want to be like that one guy, be like, "Why you watch it? Are you a fan? You don't watch it."
It started with a question mark, and he put so many weird spaces. I don't know.
I don't think that guy knows what English is.
Maybe an AI did it. Who knows? Maybe it was a bot. But until next time, guys, we will see you next Tuesday. Peace. And see us on Getting Some Color Thursday. Bye.
Thanks for listening.
I have a question for God. Why?